are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jet fan, who in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah. Happy birthday to me. What's going on? Richie looks like Mike White. He does, doesn't he? That's because Mike White looks so young and Richie is so young. But Richie's great. What's going on? What's going on, Postman? Matthew Smith, John Hepburn. My niece, first one on to say happy birthday. You don't have to call now. Now you got yourself out of having to make a phone call. You could tell everybody. I said happy birthday in his chat on his live stream. So, Emanon, you're back. Okay. Dude, I thought you were gone. Like kidnapped. I thought you were in some Russian prison camp, like far off. Like I thought you fell on the bad side of a prisoner exchange or something. Because you were gone. Emanon, Emanon, so good to have him back. Some guy is here. What's going on, brother? It is so far a happy birthday. My wife, just so you know how I love my snacks and I love my food. My wife ordered. You ever hear? A lot of you probably heard of it. Buffalo wings didn't come out. It wasn't just invented by every restaurant at the same time, right? Like the whole concept of a buffalo wing, a little chicken wing with that little spiciness. Forget all the other flavors and all the things that came later in all these wing places. The real story is, this is true. There was a bar called the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, and they were snowed in, and all they had to eat was in the freezer. They took out all these frozen chicken wings, and all they had to flavor it was Frank's hot sauce, and they had butter. So they put all the butter, the margarine in a frying pan. They started frying up the wings, and then they added Frank's hot sauce. And the combination of the butter and the Frank's hot sauce put out the wings. They said, you can't eat this plain. You need something to cool the heat. You need something to break. You need something. There was no bread, though. They were snowed in. There was no carbs. So what did they do? They pulled out, they had here's some celery and carrots, and we have blue cheese salad dressing and ranch salad dressing, whatever it was. I think it was blue cheese. And that was the birth of wings. Well, anyway, my wife went on to Goldbelly and ordered 50 of these wings from the Anchor Bar. They came last night. We heated up 25 of them, and me and my wife scarfed them down. They are delicious. It is so hard to find good wings, and it makes no sense. It's the dumbest thing in the world. I understand you can't make good bagels in California. They don't have the water here. Plus, it takes a lot of expertise in knowing how to do it, and you have to buy the right equipment. Right? So I get it. I know why it's hard to make good pizza because the water's different. And you have to figure out the chemistry, even though some people are figuring it out. But they had to start distributing the cheese and all those products that we get in New York and around the East Coast. It was harder to get those products. I get it. See, so these things I understand. But it's not easy to have a Jewish deli anywhere because you have to. There's very few people in the world that know how to smoke a corned beef, to smoke a pastrami. Right? Most of these places just buy the meat wrapped. They unwrap it and slice it for you. That's never going to be like a real New York kosher deli. That's never going to be like Katz's and Second Avenue and all these new places that are popping up in the city. Queen's Pastrami on First Avenue in Manhattan. These are, and all over Montreal. Montreal has a lot of places. Mill Basin Deli in Brooklyn. Like these places, it's not easy to replicate because it's not, you can't just hire, you could hire someone, but you got to pay someone how do you find someone who knows how to do it? Plus, you need crazy money for a lot of these kind of things, right? The wings, getting back to my point, there's no excuse because the restaurants have chicken wings. They order them. They're there. And all it is freaking butter and Frank's hot sauce. Like, figure it out. I mean, we were eating these wings from the Anchor Bar that my wife ordered for me, And it was amazing. They were like, if wings tasted like this, whenever I went to bars, I'd order wings all the time. But I cannot tell you that 95% of the places that have wings, when you go and order the wings, they're awful. They're dry. The meat doesn't come off the bone. There's barely any meat. The wing meat is low quality. The drumsticks, the drummers ones, those are awful. The meat is totally dry and hard like rocks. It doesn't come off the bone. The sauce is wrong. Now everybody's invented different sauces. I got the barbecue sauce and I got the lemon lime and the garlic. Look, I just want wings. Buffalo wings. I mean, I could play around with different flavor wings afterwards. Fine. But can I just have buffalo wings? They're the easiest thing to make. People made them in a snowstorm. They were by accident, for the love of God. Why can't places just replicate that? Have every other kind of nonsense on your menu. And stop calling wings that are battered and fried chicken, and then tossed in sauce wings. Because what that is, just call it what it is. Fried chicken tossed with sauce. Hey, Frank's hot sauce tossed into fried chicken wings. But it's not buffalo wings. Buffalo wings are freaking buffalo wings. And they could be made and they could be served anywhere. It's not even a restriction. Anybody can do it, and yet they don't. I saw a wings truck. I got excited. Boneless wings. It was basically chicken nuggets tossed in sauce. It's not wings. Why would you call yourself wings? It's not. For the love of God, people, give me some wings. Why do I have to go on to? It's the one thing I shouldn't have to go on to Goldbelly to get. You're telling me in Sacramento, those bars, restaurants, not one of them does it right, even though they can. All they have to do is Google how to make a buffalo wing the right way. Anchor Bar buffalo wings. And it's the easiest thing on the planet. And no one will do it. And I swear to you, if I had security, like the money put away and I didn't have to worry about money, well, let's say I wanted to make money, but I had like a year where I don't have to pay any bills. And I could do whatever I want. I swear to God, I would just open up a place and sell wings. And unless nobody in Sacramento has taste, maybe they don't have any taste. Maybe they wouldn't know that they're good. Where's the batter? I don't know. Maybe that's what they would do. I'm telling you, they're the best wings I ever ate. Since there was a place where I went to college that was very authentic. Obviously, they're better fresh, but I've only found like a few places that do buffalo wings the right way, and I don't understand it. It's like when you when you find a bar or a grill that has good wings, like people go there, they talk about the wings, like it makes so much sense for a restaurant to really put a lot of effort into having good wings. Because if you have a bar and you play football games and you have good wings, that's all you need. You're going to be crowded because there's enough people that just love drinking beer and eating good wings. So I just don't understand it. Anyway, that's my rant about buffalo wings. I'm happy that Goldbelly was able to send them and my wife was able to order them, but I'm bitter and angry that it has to be a special thing. And it can't be something I do just all the time, going to any bar, because it doesn't make sense, because they're not difficult to make. And if you're saying, hey, how come I don't make them at home? It's because it's hard to get the right size, those bar-like party wings. They're not always available. And when they are, they're not always good quality. And I don't know the art of cooking them. I don't know how to freaking cook them the right way. They get too freaking sticky and dry and the meat dries up. I'm telling you, their wings, man, they just said air fry it for 5 minutes to reheat it. The meat was falling off the bones. Me and my wife were looking at each other like, can you believe this? Can you believe how good this is? Yeah, I could see that adding a little pineapple juice for that citrus, that instead of vinegar, a little less vinegary, but yeah, I could totally see it, Matt. Because the vinegar is already in the Frank sauce. But giving it a little citrus, that's nice. Happy birthday, Jeremy. Thank you. Do I got any plans? I don't know, man. It's raining and cold here in Sacramento. So I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm so tired from work. Work is so exhausting right now and so stressful that the thought of it's a rainy day and just staying, doing this for a while, staying home, had one cup of coffee, get another delicious cup of coffee, just chilling out and ordering a pizza, because we do have one good place. We have a place called Old World Giovanni's that has 18-inch pies, and they're close. It would be a tiny bit below average place in Brooklyn, which for here is amazing. It's a slice, that could really fold and eat. It's legitimate enough that it's a real slice, and it scratches the itch. So I'm thinking I got to order a pie, eat some pizza. We got to finish the Carvel ice cream cake. Maybe we'll watch movies, play video games. I just lay around, listen to music. I don't know. I just want to relax. I'm just tired. So me, that's a perfect birthday. Like, just leave me alone. I don't want to do anything. That might be my retirement. Might run off. My friend Jason has the best retirement plan. He wants to go into Central Florida, away from the water where the hurricanes do the most damage. Like, just right in the Central Florida, in the middle of just nothingness, where you can get a house for 100 grand, 120 grand. You get yourself a house in the middle of nowhere in some suburban nightmare. This is what he said. And now keep in mind, him and his wife cook. So as long as they can act, as long as they can go out and buy ingredients, they don't care. Like he's saying, I don't care. Some fast food restaurants, Popeye's chicken, Chick-fil-A, Chili's Bar and Grill. Like that's all he did. He literally said, anything else, I'll just cook myself. And he said, he just wants to buy a house with a swimming pool. And he wants to disappear and have everybody leave him the F alone. And that's what he wants his retirement to be. He just wants to sit in Central Florida, outside by his pool, and inside watching football, watching sports, and eating whatever he wants and getting fat until he's dead. I'm not going to go to the extent to say that's what I want my retirement to be, but I will say it doesn't sound too bad for one day, except we don't have the pool. So go figure. What's up? Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it. Boneless wings are the best. Well, I have no problem. Like if you like boneless wings, but stop calling them wings. They're not wings. They're pieces of they're chicken tenders tossed in sauce. Like, why are we calling them wings? Why don't we call them what they are? Chicken tenders, chicken strips with buffalo sauce, tossed in buffalo sauce. They're not wings. Wings are a specific thing. Why do we give the impression that you're getting wings when you get them? You're not getting wings. Wings is dark meat, first of all. Wings is about the fact that is the ratio of skin fat to meat. It's very little meat. It's a very heavy skin to fat ratio. And that has everything to do with the way it holds the flavor of the sauce. Like, it's a very different product. So I have no problem, I have no problem with you liking them because, I'm a junk food kid. I like everything. So I get into the mood, like I'll get chicken strips or something, or chicken tenders or chicken nuggets, and especially being a hot sauce guy, and I'll dip them into different things and I'll enjoy it. But I'm not going to call them wings because they're not wings. They're just not wings. It's not like it's a made up word. Well, it's not like we call them dings, chicken dings. And then you say, well, who decided that it had to be that, or what, this or that? Fine. But wings comes from an actual part of the chicken. Okay. And the chicken tenders, the boneless wings, are not the wing. They're the breast. They're white meat dipped in batter, deep fried. So it's like literally wrong and incorrect to call them wings. So I have no problem with them existing as a product. I just don't think that they should call them wings. For those of you that know, even though my brother makes the videos, all 90% of the replies to the comments in the comment section are me. Because my brother doesn't smack people around. Like, my brother just ignores it when people say stupid things. I'm the obnoxious one. I'm the one that says you're stupid, you're dumb, your opinion is dumb. That's me, guys. So just know, because I want credit where credit is due. Somebody is giving a big thumbs up to somebody for like putting somebody in their place on my comment section. And it's like, I just want you to know who it is. Love me for it or hate me for it. It's me. I don't want to associate my brother to the things that he didn't do, good or bad. It's not fair to him. We have no way of saying I told him pretty much let me do the comments. Otherwise, so everybody knows who it is they're talking to. I said, otherwise, when you put a comment in or, then when you get people used to the fact that it might be you, that means you might get credited in a negative way. Some of the things that I say, because I have a much bigger temper than my brother, so there are people who push my buttons, but I love them. Like Matt B. I know people, like get annoyed and upset with him, but I love Matt B. I want him to be not a better Jet fan. Who am I to judge Jet fan? I want him to enjoy being a Jet fan. I'm trying to help him. Like, it makes me sad that Matt B doesn't want to watch the game tomorrow. That he thinks we're going to lose. It makes me sad. It makes me really sad because that's, like you're supposed to. This is the time we should really be enjoying ourselves. We've sucked for so long. and we're finally in a position to enjoy. And I know it hurts. In some ways, it hurts worse. Like when we suck, I can understand Matt B's perspective. When we're 1-8, you can watch the game because there's no. You expect us. I mean, we suck anyway. There's no playoffs on the line. We could watch them, but so I'm not going to pretend I don't know what he's talking about. When I watch when they're like this 7-5, it's different. Because I know it's easy for us to say, we're finally good. Why don't you want to watch the game? Well, now it finally hurts. Now we have something to lose. Now the trauma comes to us back, right? Our jet trauma, where we have something to lose. If we lose, it hurts. We get upset. It ruins our day. It ruins my day. I mean, it really affected my Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday this week. It did. And the worst part about it was because it was like we should have won that game. But I'm not going to name players. Like I was mad at Berrios for an hour. And the Berrios thing went away. For an hour, I was pissed at Berrios. I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to individually name people and be mad at people. Mike LaFleur, I was mad at. Still a little not trusting him. The play calling in the red zone, I mean, he's got to fix. I can't watch him talk at press conferences until he fixes it. Like, it doesn't mean anything if you say it's on me, I got to do better, if you don't change and do better. So a lot of times we watch Mike LaFleur say, it's me, I've got to do better. And nothing is changing. He's doing those same plays that don't work. I mean, I like him as an offensive coordinator and think that he's almost there. He literally would have my total respect. I wouldn't complain about him at all. It's not even at the 5-yard line when he didn't run the ball in. I know that's what it is for most people, and I don't disagree with that, but that's not what I'm mad at. What I'm mad at is that for 3 consecutive drives, when we got the ball to the 20-yard line, for 3 consecutive drives, he tried one of those bullshit trick plays that goes backwards. 3 consecutive drives, and all 3 drives stalled at that moment. Like, it didn't work all 3 times, and all 3 times we ended up kicking field goals. All 3. Like, he literally sucked the momentum. He said, here, Minnesota, I'm going to give you the momentum back by calling this jackass play that goes backwards. I'm going to pitch the ball 8 yards back to my wide receiver, and then the receiver pretend that he's going to throw the ball. Knowing or not knowing or learning that in the NFL, that shit don't work. It's not going to work because everybody watches our tape and they've seen us do it. We did it. It's over. It won't work again. That's why you pick and choose your timing of when you do certain things. That's why you don't see people fake field goals 5 times, 10 times a year. You pick your time because it's not going to work for a while because everyone looks at the tape. Everyone. These coaches live in film room. I promise you, every team we play, their whole coaching staff is watching every piece of film that we've put out there. They know every alignment, and they know every play to look out for. It won't work. When we walk down the football field and we get to the 20-yard line, keep the momentum. Keep doing what's working. If we got there by running, make them prove they could stop the run. If we got there with short passes, make them prove they can stop the short passes. Once they stop it, then you have to get creative. It doesn't have to be pitch the ball 5 yards back. It doesn't have to be a trick play. It's like, okay, we ran the ball down the field. Now they're tightening up. So I'm not the expert. Fucking figure it out. Like every other offensive coordinator. Figure it out. What do you do now? What's the thing that you're supposed to do? I don't know. It's not my living. I don't get paid tons of money to figure that out. I know I just ran the ball down the field and walked down the field 60 yards. Now you're tightened up and you're stopping the run. You must have made a defensive adjustment to do that. Why was Minnesota, like if it happened, why would they all of a sudden be able to stop the run? That means that they made an adjustment. They moved people into the box. Something changed. So ahead of time, have a game plan that says, if they start stuffing the box to tighten up their defense because we're running the ball well, do this. Study film of freaking Bill Walsh, your brother, Shanahan's father, everybody that ever ran the West Coast offense, and look at what they did. Look at all the different options and have a game plan. But don't tell me the game plan is a trick freaking play. Not only that, they were doing the trick plays before they even tried what was working. That's what really pisses me off. Like, why not do something that works until it doesn't work? Don't you love when the other team does that? We can't stop them. They're running the ball, screening, running down the field. And then suddenly the quarterback starts to drop back and do regular plays and we stop them. And aren't we sitting there saying, oh my God, thank you for not screen passing? Like, thank you for not throwing more screens because we knew we couldn't stop them. Remember all last year, could not stop the screen? I don't understand why we're being that team. Why are we helping the other team? Why did Mike LaFleur help them and say, I'm going to let you off the hook 3 drives in a row? The reason I forgive Berrios is because we never had to be in that situation. We should have been in the lead, and our defense should have been protecting a lead well by the third quarter because there were so many missed opportunities for touchdowns. It made no sense. So that's the thing that I had the hardest time getting over. And I understand Matt B if that's what he was upset about, because that kind of shit is frustrating. That kind of shit is really frustrating. But don't be afraid to watch the game. I mean, I understand that it's going to hurt after we lose, but because what's going to happen, Matt, is if you're here, I don't know. I didn't look far enough down to see if he's here yet. He's usually here by now. What's going to happen is you're going to be watching the game. You're going to not watch the game, but you're going to check in at the score. And if they lose, you're still going to be just as upset. Like you're going to be just as upset. The better thing to do if you want to have more fun as a fan is learn how to cope. Like, believe me, I broke a TV. My wife will vouch to this. I'm not exaggerating. I broke the remote control and almost broke the TV in New York once when we blew a lead. I forgot what game it was. Okay. So the only thing that keeps me controlled is the fact that Green Bean will throw me off air. And he almost had to. So that you guys have no idea what I really would do, what I would do during a game if I was not on with Green Bean with all of you watching. Some of you could see it, like me holding it in. Like I'm like putting my head down and I'm like trying so hard not to say what's on my mind. So it's hard for all of us, Matt, but I don't know. You're a Jet fan, man. Don't you want to be there if we win? What if we beat the Bills and you weren't watching because you didn't believe it? You can't tell me that's as thrilling. It's not as thrilling. It's not as fun. It's fun when you find a way to just get over it and watch and believe. Happy birthday. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Carlos A. I appreciate that. Carlos A. doesn't talk a lot or whatever, but he's a great supporter of the channel. I hate buffalo sauce. Barbecue and dry rub is better. Well, in your opinion, it's better. But if you want buffalo wings, that means you don't like buffalo wings. You like chicken wings or barbecue chicken wings or dry rub chicken wings. And that's fine. I guess it's a Taylor ham versus pork roll argument. It's really the name that makes it really hard to swallow or tolerate. Oh, I see a super chat, but I want to get to people. Thanks, Anthony. Brother, I'll get right to it, bro. Thank you so much. The wing is where they shoot the steroids. Oh, is that where all the flavor is there and everything? Happy birthday to my daughter. Oh, thank you, honey. She already got me the wings, so. No, I don't want Supreme Being. Supreme Being is another good pizza place, but it's California style. It's like the crust is sourdough crust, and it's delicious. But it's my birthday, baby. I need like the real deal, authentic pizza. You know what I mean? The closest we can get. And I'm not driving 40 miles in the rain to go to even the better place, because that's 40 miles each way, 80 miles of driving in the rain. I'm not doing it. For teenagers. Well, Matthew Smith is not much older than a teenager. No offense. I mean, I'm just being honest. So he just got out of high school a couple of years ago. So it would make, it makes sense. When he gets older, he'll appreciate the fine, older, more distinct taste of an adult that appreciates a true bone-in wing. There for everybody. Well, I wouldn't say children. Come on. Let's pure adrenaline sports. I have a very big skin to fat ratio, also hot. That's why I want to dump you in buffalo sauce and cook you up, buddy. You'd be delicious. If there's ever true Walking Dead kind of thing that ever happens, you better hide John Post, because you're going to be on a lot of people's menu. I saw your brother SmackDown, a truth. Yeah, I'm the one smacking him down, but I don't mean to smack him down. I'm very emotional when I do it. Thanks, Matt. There you are. You're here. I hope you heard all that. Oh, you must have, because it says I love you too. Yeah, I do love you, buddy. I do love you. And know that everything I say to you is me truly and honestly wanting you to enjoy the Jets. Like, I really want you to be able to enjoy the Jets. And if you'd rather have Zach in there, I get it, but don't let it ruin it for you. You know what I mean? Even if you'd rather have Zach, I get it. You're disappointed. You want it to be Zach. You believe in Zach, and that's great. You could be right. He might come back and be great, and it's going to be great. And I know you're going to celebrate it, and I'll be happy. Believe it. I promise you, I'll be happy. Because no matter who's playing any position for the Jets, if they do well, I'm happy. I'm right there with you. I'll be thrilled. I'll take my Zach jersey out of the closet again and start proudly wearing it again. I would love it. But even if it doesn't happen and it's Mike White, you're still a Jet fan, dude. You got to root for him. You got to root for him. You got to hope that he turns out to be great, and we just have to be okay with it. If it's Mike White, if it's a free agent, if it's somebody Jimmy G, if it's anybody else, if it's a draft pick, whatever it is, if it works out for us, we need to be happy. As long as it works out, Rich. Yeah, exactly. I was saying that the other day. It's like last year, a year ago, I was doing mock drafts every day. That was the only thing to do. There was nothing else interesting about this team. It's like, okay, we're going to rebuild. We're going to get better. We're going to be better. And there's nothing left to say. We sucked. And all we could talk about was how we're going to get better. So how do you get better? The draft. We had tons of draft picks. Mock drafts won't be as fun this year because we only have like 5 picks. We're like a normal team now. Like Greenby was telling me we only have 5 picks. That sucks. We need to trade for Sam Darnold. Come on, man. Melissa, what's going on? How's it coming on the show? Thanks. I appreciate that. I think it's a San Francisco 49er fan, if I'm not mistaken, right? You got to go to my other channel and subscribe to my channel, 49ers Chaos, where I share deep insight on the 49ers, pissing off that fan base by saying, why is this Jet fan telling us what to think about our team? Mike LaFleur's huge inhales between sentences kill me. That's LaFleur. Yeah, that is a LaFleur, right? Matt B, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more about hearing Jets fan rip into Zach and feel they're overreacting to you, defending him. Yeah, look, it's an emotional thing. It's an emotional thing. It hurts even more because it's like we kind of like Matt, we were with you. We were with you on the whole Zach thing. Like a lot of us loved him too. And it's like, so it's hard when somebody else is still defending him. And we got to the point where it's like, I can't defend this guy anymore. You know what I mean? I just can't do it. How long could you keep defending a quarterback? The Niners are much better at that. They stopped defending. Like when they got Jimmy G, I live in Sac, so I'm telling you, this is no exaggeration because half the people I work with are diehard Niner fans. They were saying next Tom Brady. Next Tom Brady. We got the next Tom Brady. He's just like Tom Brady. This was supposed to be John Brady's replacement. Now we got him. Franchise quarterback. They were going nuts for Jimmy G. And I don't think they're stupid for it because Jimmy G got them to a Super Bowl. I understand they had a great team around them and he didn't carry them alone. But he was good enough that they were able to be a Super Bowl team. And before they had Jimmy G, they sucked. And then they got him, and they finished a season where they won 7-8 games in a row. Then he got hurt the next year, but came back, and they went to a Super Bowl. So I don't think they were right to compare it to Tom Brady, but they were right to be excited about getting him because he was the answer to make them great. But then as soon as he didn't win the Super Bowl, a lot of the Niner fan base talks about Jimmy G like he's a piece of crap. And I'm like, are you crazy? Because you got to look at the other teams. There's only 4 elite quarterbacks in the NFL. If you're one of the teams with a Jimmy G that is capable of getting you to a Super Bowl and then last year an NFC championship game, you do not complain. You thank the lords, the football gods, that you have a good enough quarterback that you can do it. Now, if Trey Lance turns out to be an elite quarterback, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And you want that. But don't disrespect the guy who got you to a Super Bowl. Don't ever do that because we're sitting here as Jet fans. Jimmy G would be the best guy to walk into the locker room to Chad Pennington, and that goes without argument. So thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat. I'm glad that you enjoy the channel and that you love me. It's nice to be loved. And I'm going to keep going. I'm not going anywhere. You see what my brother Lee, I think he's in the chat right now. We're doubling down. We're not going anywhere. We're actually putting more than we ever put into it. If you guys noticed, I've put out more videos in the last 3 weeks than I have probably not only in any 3-week period, but any 2-month period. So we're going all in on this channel. Yet I find time to do the Niner stuff too. Just a glutton for punishment. But thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it greatly. It's fine. Yeah, you get. Well, I mean, it's fine to still believe in Zach. It's just a matter of understanding, though, that sometimes you have to accept that we're going to have to develop Zach a different way. We got too good too fast. If the team didn't get so good so quickly, we could live with Zach longer. But the issue is that we got too good and we became a playoff contender, and now we can't do it. We can't just sit and wait for him to develop on the field, losing games for us. And I know people say he's 5-2, but come on. Like, he wasn't the reason we won those games. I mean, you can make an argument for Pittsburgh, but a comparison to that, and this is a true comparison, last night, Baker Mayfield brought the Rams. He was on the team for 5 days, and he had a game-winning drive against the Raiders. So we're going to sit there and say Baker Mayfield, that means that he's going to be a star? So we can't use the Pittsburgh game forever. All the Pittsburgh game tells us is, for one quarter, Zach Wilson showed that he, somewhere within him, is the capability of being a good NFL quarterback. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be that somewhere within him. I want him to. Really, really bad. Everybody who knows me knows that. But we have to look forward, and we have to be realistic. It's very rare that someone can play the way he's playing and then turn out to be fine and a good quarterback. It simply doesn't happen often. We could sit here and search for names and talk about Geno Smith, and we could scrape the barrel and look for good examples. We no longer could use Josh Allen because Josh Allen was much better his second season than Zach is right now. So it's hard to use Josh Allen as an example, or as evidence that Zach could still be good. If Zach is good, he's rewriting the history books. He's going to be what every other team in the future uses to say, he could still be good. Zach Wilson was terrible. And then year 3, boom. Or remember, they benched him and he came back and boom, he was great. That's what would have to happen. And you know what? If we ended up bringing Zach back in for any reason, whether it's injury or poor performance from Mike White, I'm going to root for Zach to be amazing. I'm going to sit there and say, man, I hope that there's like a miracle happens and he just comes back and he airs the ball out, whips the ball around, throws dimes, is no longer afraid, realizes I'm playing for my life, stop hesitating, throw the damn football. When Garrett Wilson has a half step, just throw it and trust my talent. And if the talent's really there and it works out, I will be the first one marching and leading the band in celebration. But for right now, we're playing for a playoff spot, and we got to trust the coaches, and we got to trust our own eyes. Right now, at this moment, Mike White is the better quarterback. It's just a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. At some point, opinions have to be thrown away. At some point, we have to stop loosely using the word opinion. At some point, you have to look at and you have to declare evidence and switch over, because there's too much evidence to sit there and say, my opinion is that Zach is better than Mike White. I understand the opinion that Zach Wilson has more potential, higher ceiling, or will be better than Mike White. Like, fine, I'm not going to dish anybody for saying that. But at this moment, for this football game, to say that Zach Wilson is a better quarterback than Michael White, that is false, and it's not an opinion. There's evidence. I don't know if there's a word in between fact and opinion, but there's evidence. There's really tons and tons of evidence. Whether you look at the stats, whether you look with your eyes, there's so much evidence that Zach Wilson at this moment is the better quarterback that gives us the best chance to win. It's just, I mean, and by the way, we always talk about like the numbers. Forget the numbers. How do you not trust the players? When you were a kid on your street, in the way you have 6 kids, you're playing against some other team of 6 kids, 2-hand touch football. When the kid that stunk at quarterback said, I want to play quarterback, what did the other 5 kids tell him? It's like, no way you playing. You suck. You suck at quarterback. You're not playing quarterback. Everybody knew who the quarterback was. Everybody knew on their street who the quarterback was and who the second guy was. If you had play against each other, you had two teams. We used to go 4 against 4, let's say. There was a second choice of who gets to play quarterback. And every day those guys played quarterback. I never even asked because I knew I wasn't as good. I was the younger brother too. So I was one of the younger kids on the street. So I never asked to play quarterback. It didn't make sense to ask to play quarterback. Well, the players don't know. The players aren't stupid. They're at the practices. They're in the game. They know who's better. They're going out for the passes. And when they get open, this guy throws it to me. This other guy just doesn't do anything. He's like, he's not ready yet. Maybe one day he will throw it and he'll throw a bullet to me into my chest and I'll love him for it. But right now, you could look at the stats. You could look at the film with your own eyes. It's all, or you could ask the players. And every player will tell you that Zach is better. I mean, that Mike White is better right now. So there's no opinion. It's all three things. The stats, your eye test of watching film, which Dom C did for us. He was nice enough to come and do it for us. He came and he showed us the film. We were able to see it. We were able to see with our own eyes. And then the players are telling you. The players are wearing Mike White shirts. They're telling you he's better. They're happy. They're excited. They're saying, this is my boy. Because they're on the field. When you played two-hand touch football, you knew who the best quarterback was, right? You knew who you wanted on your team to play quarterback. You knew. When the kid down the street, Darren Shapiro, was there playing, I wanted him to be the quarterback because he was the best quarterback on my street. If he wasn't playing, there was a kid named Solomon. He was the best quarterback that we had. Now, thinking back at it, we didn't really have any good quarterbacks. If those two were the best. Two Jewish kids from Brooklyn. But they were the best we had. And then the other quarterbacks were simply because of age. Our older brothers were the quarterback because they were older than us. So they, like the older kid. I mean, I was never a quarterback, but when I played with my fifth graders, what positions do you think they asked me to play? Mr. Kravac, can you be our quarterback? So, I mean, because they know. The kids know. Why do they want me as a quarterback? Because they know at this point, even though the kids have much higher ceilings than me, much higher ceilings, they know at the moment I'm better. And when you're going out for a pass, you want the best quarterback. So we got to stop the argument of who's better right now and just be happy and root for the guy who's better right now and hope we can win with him. And I hope Zach ends up coming back and being better than him because that means we have an even better quarterback. I don't care if the guy's name is Snooky Bookie Bookie Snowball. Snooky Bookie Bookie Snowball. Not drafted, undrafted free agent, came out of the college of Snooky Bookie Wookie Pabuki. I don't care. If the guy comes onto the field and starts throwing passes to everybody and we're winning games and he's better, that's my quarterback. Put that Jets helmet on, get into the game. I'm rooting for you. Why can't we all just agree on that? I got Jets tickets for Thursday Night Football. Cool. Each section 104. How are you going to get there? You have a driver's license? You're old enough, right? You have a driver's license. You're like 21, right? 22. You're like 19, 20, 21. All right. Don't drink. Yeah, I know that you're diehard Niners. Diehard Niners. Changing flapper on my toilet bowl. Thanks for the background. Oh, my God. Dude, that's the one thing I could fix. I always make fun of myself that I can't fix anything or do anything. I'm fixing toilet bowls. I could fix the mechanics in the back. I could take that stuff out. I could put a new chain on with the whole, I buy the parts. Like I could do all that. Luckily, I haven't had to because we got all of them replaced and ripped out completely by a plumber, like brand new installed. Because when we bought the house, whoever remodeled the house put the shittiest, lowest quality ones in. And me and my wife spend way too much time on the toilet for low quality. Carlos A. Meaningful games in December. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You tried defending Jimmy G, but no more. Well, you could say that I understand saying Jimmy G is not a star. And I understand wanting a better quarterback because can you imagine the 49ers with more than just a capable quarterback, but with a star? I mean, if you put Derek Carr on the 49ers, Super Bowl. I mean, like, there's not even a hesitation. It's a Super Bowl. If you put obviously Patrick Mahomes or any of the guys we know, Josh Allen, who are elite, Justin Herbert, any of those guys. Now Trey Lance gives you the ceiling for that because there's no one who could sit here. No one has the evidence. No one could sit here and say it's impossible that Trey Lance can't be the next Lamar Jackson. And if you put Lamar Jackson onto the San Francisco 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl. They do because they have the best defense. They have a great running game. You give them a capable quarterback who can run around but also throw great passes, it's over. It's over. But that doesn't mean that Jimmy G is not a serviceable, average NFL real quarterback that is very meaningful for the 49ers because the second he got hurt, every 49ers fan went, oh, shit. Like the second he got hurt, then it was like none of the Niner fans were saying, oh, he stinks. Now all of a sudden the Niner fans were like, Brock Purdy, and he actually played okay. But there's not a Niner fan I know that wants Brock Purdy, that doesn't want Jimmy G to get back on time for the playoffs. When they said that he might be able to come back, that was a celebration in San Francisco. So you got to keep things in perspective. Yeah, you can get a better quarterback. Like you could recognize that Jimmy G is not great. You could recognize that he's serviceable and good enough and can get you to a Super Bowl or not hinder you from getting to the Super Bowl. Don't forget, there was one pass there's a lot of things that went wrong and why the Niners were so close to winning that Super Bowl. So Jimmy G was good enough for them to win, right? There was one play with like a minute 18 left where he missed an open receiver. He didn't see him. Otherwise, they win the Super Bowl. But that would never make me say, oh, they can never win a Super Bowl. I would never say that. But, if Trey Lance doesn't work out, and Jimmy G is gone next year, you're going to wish you had Jimmy G back. You're going to sit there and you're going to wish you had him back because it's not easy to find an average to above average quarterback in the NFL. So I know he's not a superstar and I know he's not elite, but sometimes you don't know what you have until he's gone. Hey, Jeremy, my comment disappeared for some reason, but Green Bee made a video yesterday and had a different Green Bean account is answering questions. Do you know if Green Bee uses 2 different accounts? Green Bean has 4 different accounts. He usually doesn't have them named Green Bean, though. So it might not really be him. I'd have to look. Like his other real name is like it's the other channel, Full-Time Coaster Tour. Usually he doesn't respond to anything other, those are the 2 accounts he'll use. But it's not impossible that he was in a different account and answered. I do it all the time. I answer questions from the wrong account all the time. Because I'm so anxious to answer the question, I forget I'm not in my Chaos account. So I can't really answer your question. I can only tell you it might not be him, but it could definitely be him because he does have a couple of different accounts. The only thing you could really trust, though, that's 100% guaranteed, is that if it's not his Green Bean Jets fan account, it might not be him. And if he's saying anything that's unlike Green Bean, then assume it's not him. Happiest of birthdays, bro. Happy birthday. My brother Lee is in New York in my old apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So happy birthday to you. I mean, not happy birthday to you. I mean, happy you because you're surrounded by great food and fun in New York. Egghead. I am an egghead, Twister. 4 no 2 elite quarterbacks. Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are the only elite quarterbacks. You don't think Josh Allen is an elite quarterback? I think that comes from just a dislike of the Bills. I don't think you could really honestly say he's not an elite quarterback. And that's my opinion. I know you can't take a few games. Every quarterback has a midseason slump or whatever it is. Josh Allen, man, if you watched the playoff game against Kansas City last year, you cannot tell me that Josh Allen's not elite. And we got a couple of guys who are going to be elite in the NFL. Like Burrows from Cincinnati is almost there. He just got to prove it. He needs a little bit more evidence, but it's getting very hard to deny Burrow access to that special room of quarterbacks if you watch his play. Burrows is freaking fantastic. He's a special, special player. and he's only getting started in his career. Justin Herbert, I don't know, because I don't know if he's getting any better. Justin Herbert might just be what we see for the rest of his career, which is fine. I mean, because he started off so good. I mean, but he might not ever become like that special guy. We don't know. We'll see. Also, don't write off Trevor Lawrence. He's only finishing his second year, because we make a million excuses for Zach. We can't ignore the fact that Trevor Lawrence is also only in his second year, and he played for the crappiest team in the world last year, and they're first getting more respectable now. So you got Trevor Lawrence, developing and learning how to play football and learning how to play quarterback on a horrible team. And he's not doing that bad. He's getting better all the time. So is he elite now at the moment? No, but there's a lot of guys. A lot of people would argue that Lamar Jackson is elite. And then some would argue that he's not, but I won't get into that now. You do complain. 10 ruined games the way Wilson got away. That is. Yeah, I know that you're going to complain about the games that Jimmy G lets get away, but Zach Wilson, when we replaced him, so far we're getting better quarterback play from the guy we used. You don't have anybody right now that's going to do better than Jimmy G. That's why I say don't complain about him, because you don't have better. Like, if you didn't keep him as a backup, the Niners wouldn't even be relevant this year. The only reason the Niners are relevant and could win this division and still be talked about as a Super Bowl contender is because you had Jimmy G. And then people stopped talking about the Niners the second he got hurt. And then the second they said he can come back and play again, now people are talking about, well, if Jimmy G comes back, the Niners are a factor again. So Jimmy G is good enough that he determines whether or not you're considered a Super Bowl contender. Because I will never think for a second the Niners have any chance to get to the Super Bowl and win. I mean, a little chance, but I would never expect it without Jimmy G. Without Jimmy G, there's no way I think the Niners are going to get past Dallas or Philly. Like, no way. No way. With Jimmy G, I believe that the Niners can. So that's the difference. With Jimmy G, I think the Niners could win a Super Bowl. Without him, I think they can't. So I'm not saying he's an elite quarterback, but right now he's all you got. Because there's no other quarterback you have that's going to get you to a Super Bowl. Unless it's like a mirror, unless the defense plays the most lights out defense ever heard of. Like, if you're shutting people out like you did New Orleans, I guess so. But I think when you get to the playoffs, you can't count on that. You need a quarterback in the playoffs, most of it, usually. I don't believe White is the answer, and I'm wondering if they have their quarterback on the roster. I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm not saying I mean, when you say I don't believe White is the answer, are you leaving out any hope that he could be the answer? Because I won't do that either. Like, I don't want to sit there and like bet the bank on Mike White yet. I'm not there yet to say that, but I'm also not there yet to say that he can't be the answer. Because 90% of the people who say, or 99% of the people who say that his ceiling is not high enough, Mike White, are just inventing it. They don't know anything. They're just saying it because that's what everyone else is saying. They're not basing it on any real argument. Like nobody has a real argument. Like, the arguments that people are using of why Mike White can't be the guy is, and I'm not saying he is the guy. I'm not defending and saying Mike White's going to be the guy. I'm simply saying there's no evidence that there's nothing that says he can't be the guy. There's nothing that shows it's impossible. People who have been drafted late in the round, who have been cut by teams, have come back and been the guy. Michael Jordan got cut, did not make his basketball team in high school. Would anybody have believed he'd become one of the greatest basketball players to ever play in the history of the world in the NBA? Most people, when you look at a great basketball player, or like any star basketball player, in high school, they were superstars. They were stars their whole life. So the second Michael Jordan got cut in high school, nobody would have guessed he could do it. I mean, so you never really know. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick and a joke. Like, if you watch his combines, it's funny. You laugh at him. And I'm not comparing Mike White to Tom Brady. I'm just making the point that every once in a while, in a blue moon, things happen in the world that are surprising. Things shock us. Things happen that you never would have expected to happen. So right now, when you look at the tape, Mike White is doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's reading defenses very quickly. He's throwing the ball accurately for the most part, as much as you can ask any quarterback to, because no quarterback is 100% accurate. That's why you don't have quarterbacks with 100% completion rates. But he's playing well. And if he keeps doing exactly what he's doing against any level of competition, he hasn't gone up against the toughest competition. Tomorrow's a good test. But if tomorrow the tape shows him continuing to read the defenses, continuing to make good passes and completing passes and getting our wide receivers involved in the game and keeping us in the game and not making horrible mistakes, like if all those things happen, at what point do you say, well, I guess that White could be the answer? I don't know. It could be White, it could be Zach, or we don't have the quarterback on the roster. I think the only thing we should be able to agree as fans is we don't know. We can have different opinions, but we don't know, and that we're all rooting for all of them to be great. That's what it would be better for us if Zach was the great one. There's no question, because Mike White's a free agent. We'd have to pay him. It messes up our financial plans. Like if Zach we're already paying. So it would be better if Zach turned out to be the great quarterback that we're looking for, not Mike White. It would benefit us. But given how hard it is to find a franchise quarterback or a great quarterback, beggars can't be choosers. Whoever it is, we should be thrilled. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter who it is. Yeah, I hate that people are ripping into Zach at a personal level. Like, it's ridiculous. Everybody is now went from no one ever had to really criticized him, and then all of a sudden, because he said one thing to the media in the worst moment of his life, when he had the worst game of his life, everybody's judging him on that one thing, and it's absolutely ridiculous. He's actually a good kid. Everything I've seen showed he's a good kid. He treats people nicely in the public. Like, there's tons of videos and people of testimonials of great, nice, beautiful, wonderful, generous things that he's done for people. Very friendly to people, takes pictures with them, signs his autograph, enjoys making people's day. Like, so the attack on his personal, the personal attacks on him are disgusting. But that happens all the time, right? Celebrities, athletes, they get attacked for nonsense all the time. I'm not going to say Tua is elite. I'm going to say that Tua is very underrated, but Tua's got to be able to play better against a defense like San Francisco before you call him elite. San Francisco doesn't prove that Tua is not good. I'm not going to call him trash over it, but it definitely leaves a question mark. Even a lot of the Miami fan base agrees with that. A lot of the Miami fans were saying, look, if every time you play a defense that's like really good, like San Francisco, you have to still be able to play well. You can't put up a stinker like you did. So I think the next test for Miami is Buffalo. And the reality is, if Tua could play very well against Buffalo, then he's good enough, because that's our division. If Tua could play well against the Jets and Buffalo, then he's fine. If he can't, you got a problem, because he still has to develop more. Because what are you going to do if you have a quarterback who can't perform well against the teams in your own division because they have good defenses? Like, part of making it as a quarterback and being an excellent quarterback is being able to beat great teams and great defenses. That's why it's like at some point, like, we got to stop making excuses for Zach and for Mike White. Like, it can't be, oh, well, it was Buffalo. No, tomorrow he's got to play well. It doesn't mean they have to win. It doesn't mean his numbers don't have to be break the stratosphere, but he has to play well. Because it's like we can't keep saying, okay, we're happy with the quarterback that's good against some teams but can't play against great teams. No, we want whoever our quarterback of the future is going to be, we want to know that they're capable of playing well against a good defense. We need to see that. The Steelers game is a perfect game to examine Zach. He done nothing for 15 minutes, was able to manage 2 drives in the last 10 minutes. Is what we saw from him all year. Well, I mean, I'm not going to put everything on one game. I want to look at why he had that fourth quarter against Pittsburgh. But I will admit, what took away from that fourth quarter about Pittsburgh was watching Baker Mayfield yesterday, because it reminded me that any quarterback could have a good couple of drives. I mean, Baker Mayfield just led the Rams. He was only on the team for 5 days, and he just led them to a game-winning touchdown. Does that mean Baker Mayfield was everybody got it wrong and he's really a superstar. So we can't keep pointing at the one quarter. I agree with you, Twisted. We can't keep pointing to the one quarter against Pittsburgh and using that as evidence that Zach Wilson's a great quarterback. Because every quarterback has had, even bad quarterbacks that haven't worked out have had great games. Geno Smith had a great game for us against Miami, his last game as a Jet. Mark Sanchez had some great games. See, I mean, like tons of quarterbacks that have not turned out to be good quarterbacks have had great games. So I like that Miami is rooting for us. I think that's kind of cool. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good to see you. What if both quarterbacks that we have turned out to be great? I doubt it's going to happen because both are long shots. It's now a long shot that Zach will be great. And it's been a long shot that Mike White can magically be great. So both are long shots. But I'd be happy if just one of them happens. If just one of it was able to work out, I'd be happy. I don't care. Again, it would be better if it was Zach, but I'm not. Beggars can't be choosers. Just give us. We haven't had a quarterback forever. Just give us a quarterback. I know. I want them to be the guy so bad, man. I want one of them to be the guy so bad. Hey, it's King Lowski. What's up? How you doing? Jets, baby. I agree. Jeremy was a stud LT. I was a stud left tackle. I played two-hand touch, man. I was good. I was only good, or like if you want to say good, I was only able to perform because it was the guy who covered me was the other youngest kid on the block. So we were able to it was basically playing against him. I grew up playing against two people on my block. My best friend David and this kid Lon. And Lon was easy to play against because he was shorter and a little younger than me. Whereas my best friend was much taller than me and stronger than me. But he wasn't as fast. I was able to cover him, don't get me wrong, because he wasn't faster than me. But so it was all contention. It was all contended catches. It was when he covered me and I covered him, it was just the two of us fighting for the ball. But sometimes we'd fool the other one and we'd get open. It happens. And they're making a paint to let everyone know they're happier. They're making it a point to let everyone know they're happier. Yeah, the players. Oh, you're back. Okay, so you guys, I got to catch up a little bit. Yeah, it's true. The players are not only loving him, they are outwardly making sure. They are outwardly making sure that people know that they love him, and we can't ignore that and say that doesn't mean anything. Like it means something to win over your teammates. Because it's hard to be bad and not good and have your teammates love you and want you to play because they want to win, especially the wide receivers. They want the ball. Now, he might not be let's say it might not be his personality. It could prove to be they just want the ball and he's the guy that's getting them the ball right now. And if he starts thinking at that and Zach becomes better at that, then they're going to love Zach because really maybe they're being selfish and they just love whoever can throw them the football. I don't think that's the case because I've never seen such an attachment to a player. Really, I don't remember any time where I've seen such an attachment to a player like the team is attached to Mike White. They love this kid. Whether he turns out to be the guy or not, no one could argue that. They love him. He's a great guy. Hopefully he could back it up with this play and be a great quarterback. I just heard your Buffalo wing rant. Why can't they make Chinese food across the country like they do in New York? That's a great question. Now, I could understand parts of the country, them not distributing, because some of what makes Chinese food great is like there's ingredients. Not everybody makes everything from complete scratch, right? Like when you go to New York and you get those big fat egg rolls, they're ordering that egg roll crust, that dough. They're ordering that. Like, or they go to the Chinese wholesale market or whatever, and they're buying that pre-made. And then they're stuffing that with cabbage and meat or whatever, and they're rolling it up and making wonderful egg rolls. Some buy the egg rolls made frozen. Those probably aren't as good. Now, there are places across the country where you can't get the ingredients. Like, you just simply can't get it. But that's no excuse. Like the chicken, General Tso chicken should not be better. Like nobody has the excuse of location. Like, get good quality chicken, get high grade chicken, prepare it the right way, cook it the right way that you don't lose the juiciness, And don't tell me you can't make General Tso chicken as good in, I don't know, New Mexico that you make in New York. I don't want to hear it. It's just not true. But I'll give you one worse, Ranger Fan 11. This is worse. I live an hour and 20-minute drive with no traffic to San Francisco, where the Chinese food is bomb, the bomb. The Chinese food in San Francisco is so good. Now, like anywhere else, you have to know where to go. You have to know where to go. I'm not talking about any random Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, but when you go near the San Francisco, around the area, or in San Francisco, Chinatown, their Chinese food is the bomb. I mean, it is just delicious. And then there's different styles because my brother lived near the greatest Chinese restaurant in the world in San Diego called Spicy City. By far the best I've ever had in my life. But I'm in Sacramento, an hour and 20-minute drive away, and the Chinese food in San Francisco is so good. And the Chinese food in the Bay Area, dozens of places. Like me and my wife go into the Bay Area. We go to an area called San Mateo, Daly City. There's like a dog beach, and we'll stay in the hotel because we like to play with our dog on the beach and spend time at the ocean. We'll do 1 or 2 nights, and all we do in the hotel is order Chinese food, and there's 10 places to choose from that are amazing. You drive an hour to 2 hours to Sacramento, and there is not one good Chinese restaurant. The Chinese restaurants here, the Chinese food is so bad in Sacramento, it is a joke. It is horrendously bad. The worst quality meat, chicken that sticks in your teeth. That's how you know. If you eat General Tso chicken and it's strains of chicken that are sticking in your teeth, you know you're eating low quality food. It is horrible. It is awful. And the egg rolls, forget about them. Can't get an egg roll on the West Coast. It's a nightmare. They don't know what an egg roll is here. They're all spring rolls. They're all that flaky, crusty, thin, crappy nothing. They don't know what a big fat egg roll is. They don't even know what duck sauce is out here. It's ridiculous. The only good Chinese food we have in Sacramento there's some good dumpling places because we get it from UC Davis. There's a college campus where there's good places, and then they open up spots downtown in Sacramento. So I can get good dumplings, but that's about it. It's horrendous. So there is no excuse. There's just it's just stupidity. It's like if you're Chinese and you know how to make great Chinese food, why are you opening up in a restaurant only in the area where there's other good Chinese restaurants? Like, why wouldn't you say, I don't understand why a Chinese restaurant that's really good. I'm really good. Let's say I'm got a great chef, family ran. You got one of the brothers, know the mother or whoever it is knows how to cook amazing Chinese food. You're ready to open up your place. You're as good as any of the great Chinese restaurants. Why would you pick the Bay Area where there's a million places? Why wouldn't you drive an hour and a half and open your business in Sacramento and be the only good place in town? It makes no sense to me. And it's like, if I knew how to do it, maybe I would do it. But I'm too hooked on the idea of having a New York hot dog pizza truck, hot dog truck. Just getting Boar's Head hot dogs, making my own red onion sauce, sauerkraut mustard, and teaching these people out here what a good hot dog is. My only fear is that they wouldn't appreciate it because they grew up on the crappy hot dogs that are in Sacramento, putting crappy ingredients on it. Dolphins fans lost to a third-string quarterback, but still say our Finns, is plagued because we beat a third string. Yeah, look, it doesn't make any sense because the truth is if our defense plays as well against Miami as San Francisco played against Miami, Tua wasn't any good against San Francisco. Like Skylar Thompson played as well as against us as Tua played against San Francisco. So the point is, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying the point is what gives me hope against when we play in Miami. What gives me hope is if we do what San Francisco did, and we have our defense is as good as San Francisco or close. Same scheme, very similar. We don't have the Bosa that they have, but we're getting there. We have Q Williams, right? I mean, we're close. The stats show that we're close. We're a top 5 defense as well. If we could stop Tua the way the Niners stopped Tua, why would Miami think that they could beat us? What's the difference? Like, we showed that we could beat Miami if we can make their quarterback look bad, and the quarterback doesn't play well. So if we're able to make Tua look bad and he doesn't play well the way the Niners did, logic says that why wouldn't we beat them again? And I'm not sitting there talking smack that we're going to beat the Dolphins. I'm saying the reason why we're in every game is because we have a great defense. When you have a great defense, you are in the game. When you have a great defense, that's what I mean. That's what's beautiful right now about the Jets. We have a chance in every game because our defense is great. So if our defense plays that way, if they show up, who can't we beat? If our defensive line shows up, who can't we beat? Look what we did to Josh Allen. We won that game because we beat the crap out of him. So I'm tired of people saying we can't beat Miami. We can't beat Buffalo again. I'm not saying we will, but I'm saying, why would you say we can't? If our defense shows up, we can beat anybody. That's the beautiful thing about being a Jet fan right now. That's what's changed. Forget about the record. Forget about anything except this one fact. We, for the first time in a very long time, are able to win any game on any day, not with it being a shocking, crazy, ridiculous upset like some other teams. I'm saying legitimately have a legitimate chance for a real reason to beat any team we play in the NFL. And that reason is we have, and I know it's hard to accept good things when you're a Jet fan because of all of the crap we put up with, but the reality is we have an incredible defense because our defensive line is off the charts. It's not a fake thing anymore. Quinnen Williams is real. Huff is real. Lawson is real. JFM is real. Michael Clemens is real. Like, look at the list of guys. I didn't even talk about Jermaine Johnson. And people look at, oh, what are you talking about? Look at his sack total. He doesn't have that many sacks. So you're happy with Jermaine Johnson? Well, that's a typical take of somebody who doesn't understand what sealing the edge means. Because I have a friend, I'm not saying I know so well, but I have a friend named Dom C who's taught me. It's not just about sacks. It's about sealing the edge. When you take away the edge, when you seal the edge on both sides, it makes it very difficult for the other offense to be very effective, especially when you have a Quinnen Williams on the inside pushing forward and pushing their guards back. So my point is, I'm tired of people discounting our win against Miami because who says that we wouldn't have won that game the same way if it was Tua, based on the fact that Tua hasn't proven that he could beat a great defense when they're playing great. Because look what San Francisco did to him. If Tua plays the way he played against San Francisco, we're going to beat them in Miami. We will. I'm not saying he will, though. I'm not saying it's definite. He might play really well. He might have a better game. We might not play as well as San Francisco played that game. I mean, it's football. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. It's just like we have bad weeks and good weeks. We don't know who's going to show up. I'm hating on your Garrett. I'm hating on your Derek Carr take because I don't think it's a good take. Look, the funny thing is I agree with you, Garrett. I don't want Derek Carr. Like, I don't think Derek Carr is worth the cost. So let me get this straight. If it costs the same, if money wasn't a factor, if there was no salary cap, I want Derek Carr. Not as much as some other guys, but I want him. I mean, because he's better than any quarterback we've ever had. The numbers show it. The guy throws for 4,000 yards. The guy, when he has good people around him, when the Raiders were good before they kept falling apart. But if you look at the bulk of the middle 4 years when they were actually a good football team, he had a 68 to 70. He was in that range completion percentage. And as Frankie from Flatbush says, when you get to a 67 to a 70% completion percentage on a good team, you're there. You're home. Because when the Jets get 68 to 70% completion percentage, our offense scores points and we win. So, of course, I would want Derek Carr if there was no cost associated to it, if it was the same in cost. Because I might not want him as much as I'd want other quarterbacks. I'm not saying that there's not other quarterbacks around the league. I would take Lamar Jackson over Derek Carr. I would. And maybe not everybody agrees with that. But I would take Lamar Jackson over Derek Carr. I think that Derek Carr is a little bit overrated. I agree with that. I do. I think he's a little bit overrated. I think there are people, not by everybody. There are people that I think have him nailed, but the people that are saying he's elite or he's great or a top 5 quarter. I mean, there are people who say that about Derek Carr. I think that's crap. I'm not saying that. I don't have him rated that high. He's not Burrows. He's not Justin Herbert and what they're becoming. He's not Flacco and Matt Ryan in their prime. Like, I'm not putting him at that level. I'm just saying he's a good to average. He's an average to above average quarterback, which is the Jets have not had. The Jets have not had an average to very good quarterback in a very long time. In a very long time. And and I'm not talking about stupid things like the rental of Brett Favre for 10 games. I'm talking about a quarterback that's going to be our quarterback, for the next few years, like like the franchise, like the guy that's carrying you for the next bunch of years. We haven't had that. And Derek Carr would be great if it was for free. Now, where we agree, Garrett, we definitely agree. Well, thank you for this happy birthday anyway. Is that that Derek Carr is not worth getting? Like, I don't want to see that happen, because to get him, we would give up way too much. We'd have to pay him like $35 million. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because we'd have to pay him that much and give up so much of our future. We'd become the 2015 Jets. Yeah, maybe we'd have a shot at the Super Bowl. Maybe. He's not elite, so it's not like automatic. It's not like, oh, we're going to make the Super Bowl. We have Derek Carr. I don't feel like that. I feel we'd have a better chance than who we have on the roster right now, but I don't feel like it's automatic, and I think we'd be giving up too much. We'd be sacrificing way too much, because I think that we'd have to give away so much draft capital and so much salary cap. We wouldn't be able to re-sign so many players that, yeah, we would have Derek Carr, but we wouldn't be as good a football team because we'd have to let everyone else go. Mosley, gone. Corey Davis, gone. Sheldon Rankins, gone. Herbog, the guard, gone. Like, we wouldn't be able to keep anyone. I mean, because where's the money for the cap going to come from? And we already know Joe Douglas is not a GM like the Saints. He's not going to sit there, or the Rams. He's not going to sit there and set us up where in 4 years, 5 years down the road, we have to rip and strip the whole team and start over again. Because that's what all those other teams are going to do. They're pushing, literally, there's going to be a year where New Orleans literally has $100 million plus of dead cap money. And they're going to have to strip the whole team and start over and lose everybody. And I don't know why they're doing it, because the Saints, the Rams got the Super Bowl. So for the Rams, it's fine. Strip down the whole team, start over again. Fine. You won a Super Bowl. You made it worth it. The stupid thing about the Saints is they did it, and they did it without a quarterback. So, like, why they would pick this point in history when Drew Brees retired to put everything into the next couple of years, win, and then you're dead, makes no sense, because the Saints aren't going to win anything. And then, like I said, they're going to have $100 million. They're going to get to a point where they cannot push it back anymore, because eventually it'll be you're over the cap without any players. Like, there's a limit to how far you could push it back. There's a guy named Riley on Twitter, Paul Riley, who could explain all this. But anyway, getting back to my point is JD is not that kind of GM. JD is a responsible general manager, and we are trying to build a team for the long term. And I don't see how Derek Carr, I think that would be gambling everything. We'd be rolling the dice on the entire plan. Like, the whole point of what we're trying to do, we're rolling the dice and gambling the whole thing if we were to go out and get Derek Carr. And if he doesn't work out, we don't win the Super Bowl, we threw the whole thing away. And I have been a Jet fan for 40 years, and I've seen it too many times. Too many times we went for the immediate try to win the Super Bowl and destroyed the franchise and then sucked for 8 years. Like, I don't want that anymore. Like, I'm done with that. So I am with you on the fact that I do not want Derek Carr, because I do not want to throw away what we're building. And what I believe we're building is sustained success for 10 years, 10 shots at a Super Bowl, maybe more, and being a great organization. And I want to find the quarterback another way. I don't want to destroy everything we did to do that and to accomplish that. How old am I now? I'm ashamed to say I'm so old. You're turning 26? I'm twice your age, exactly. Double that, and that's me. That's how old I am today. So I guess I just told you, but I don't want to say it out loud. It's depressing. Oh, you're heading for Green Bean's birthday? Well, screw Green Bean. He's not important. I'm much more important than him. My birthday means a lot more than his birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you, Green Bean's burner. See, now, if you're asking about that, I have no idea if that's Green Bean or not. But he's not as important as me. I'm better. I'm more important in the world than Green Bean. So if you're gonna wish one of us a happy birthday, but you're not restricted. You could wish us both a happy birthday. But if you were only able to pick one, you'd pick me. I deserve it more than him. That was me, LT. You were a left tackle, Rendilla? That's cool. That's cool. Worst case scenario, Jets must make sure to lock up MW long term as a backup. He may not be the guy at quarterback one, but he's shown he's a great QB too. Yeah, but it's just a matter of what's the amount of money you're willing to spend on a QB two. Like, how much money are you willing to, like, what's the maximum amount that a quarterback two is worth, if that's what you believe Mike White is? Because unfortunately, this cap is tight, man. It makes you have to make very tough decisions. Yeah, I mean, a quarterback that can come in and play at the level Mike White's been playing in so far, even in just the 5 or 6 games you look at, that's a great backup quarterback because he's done more than just, a backup quarterback sometimes is just to keep you above water. Like, nobody expects to have a backup quarterback typically that's going to come in and be as good as the starter and give you a Super Bowl opportunity. So you got to be like, because otherwise they'd be a starter somewhere else. So you have to be realistic about what your backup is. Your backup is usually going to be somebody who's not in the top 32 in the NFL. Now, Mike White, it's unproven. Like, there's no way to honestly say that Mike White is not a top 30 quarterback in the NFL because the sample size is not big enough. If you look at the 2 games he's played in and you look at the film, like Dom C has done for us, you will see that he definitely, the way he's playing right now, is in the top 30 in the NFL. There are not 30 quarterbacks that are doing what Mike White is doing right now. There are not 30 quarterbacks who are reading the defense and throwing, for the most part, accurate passes at a high completion percentage the way Mike White is at the moment. There's plenty of quarterbacks out there that aren't doing it because it's not easy. There aren't necessarily 30 men alive who can do it. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest position in any sport, I think, in my opinion. There simply aren't 30 guys who can do it well. So when you have a backup that could be maybe in the top 25 or the 25th best, and that's your backup, that's pretty damn good. The problem is other people are going to want him because there's 7 teams that means that don't have a starter who's as good. The only reason they're allowing that to happen, some of them, is like what we were doing. They have a young guy they're trying to develop. And at some point, if they don't become a top 30 guy, they have to move on from that guy. This is what we're living through right now. But Jimmy G is the perfect quarterback in the Shanahan offense. Look, Jimmy G would be really good in Miami. He'd be really good on the Jets. He'd be really good on the Rams. He'd be decent. He's a guy who can, with those teams, with those coaches, and in those systems, could be really good. He's not an elite guy that's going to carry a team to the Super Bowl, but those systems aren't built for it. The 49ers system is not built to require a great quarterback. That's why Shanahan developed it, because he's smart enough to realize there's only a few elite quarterbacks in the NFL. So if you use one of the offenses that or you build a team that requires an elite quarterback, you only have a 1-in-8, 1-in-9 chance to get a quarterback that's that good. And then it's hard to have the team around him if you're having to buy him for $50 million a year. So it's really hard. So the brilliance of the scheme, I wish Niner fans would understand this because they're Niner fans and they should understand it. And we only took their scheme less than 2 years ago. And we, as Jet fans, already understand this. The scheme is specific and built to understand that it's impossible, almost impossible, and certainly impossible to guarantee that you can get an elite quarterback. So the system is built to still give you a chance to win a Super Bowl without an elite quarterback. The system is built for efficiency. Get me an efficient quarterback that could stay calm, read the defense, and get through the progressions. That's not easy either. There's not many who can do it. But it's much more that can do it than in a standard vanilla offense could lead a team to a Super Bowl. That's what this system is. It's a run first, need to have a great running game, aggressive defense, high turnover, sack, aggressive defense that causes pressures the other team. That's what that's what San Francisco and the Jets are both built for. I believe that Miami, this is what makes McDaniel a genius. The guy who went to Miami, this is what makes him a genius. Is that I assumed he was going to go there and Miami was going to be like the Jets and Niners, at least on offense. And what McDaniel did was he said, well, I'm not going to do that day one. Because when you put in the Shanahan system day one, you're going to suck for a year. But the Dolphins are too good for that. The Dolphins are ready to win now. So you're not going to do that. And this is the brilliance of McDaniel. He came in and he didn't completely change them. He understood what their strength is. And he's implementing pieces of the Shanahan scheme that makes sense, but he didn't completely strip the offense and throw in the Shanahan system. He didn't. He might slowly do it over time, which I believe he will. I believe in the future, Miami will eventually be incredibly similar to the Jets and to San Francisco. And I think that there's a lot more similarities than people understand when you look at Green Bay and the Rams. And if you know what you're looking at, even in Tennessee a little bit, you'll find a lot of similarities in what they're doing offensively. And that's why those teams win a lot of games and have a chance to win every year, even though they don't have elite quarterbacks. Because, Stafford did nothing for Detroit, was never able to win a Super Bowl before. He went to the Rams. He went to a team that did not need an elite quarterback. They needed a quarterback that works in that system. That's a perfect example of what the Rams were and why they won the Super Bowl. They did not need an elite guy. They just needed the right guy. The question for Miami is not, can Tua be elite? The question for Miami is, can Tua be the right fit for McDaniel's offense? You cannot build a team where all your hopes are on finding an elite quarterback because there's not enough of them. It's too much of a gamble. If you get lucky and you find one, great. And then you open up your offense. You change your offense. If you say, look, we're not really utilizing them, the Shanahan system. We can get more. We could put more on the quarterback because we have such an elite quarterback. And I'm sure any of those teams would. If they get a guy that's more than just a Jimmy G, more than just a Tua, who can be elite, they will find a way to utilize that. And I think McDaniel is already doing that a little bit in Miami because they're already acting more explosive and they're not acting like a run-first team in a lot of situations. Although they are, but they've fallen behind, and we've seen some greatness in their passing attack, which makes sense when you have Waddle and freaking Tyreek Hill. I think they might. Was our game going to get messed up? I heard rumors it can get. Jets Fan United, what's up, brother? Jets Fan United. He's in the witness protection program. He's moved out into the middle of nowhere. He's that guy. He's the new Henry Hill. If he wants good food, he has to go out, buy it, and cook it himself. I'm not going to say where he is in case he really is in the witness protection program. But what's up, brother? It's good to see you. Jets 44. JD came up through Baltimore, and Baltimore really gives out big contracts, but they draft well, so that's what JD wants to be. Yeah, exactly. Not only that, he was with the Eagles. And where are the Eagles giving out huge contracts over the years? Think about the Eagles. What giant contracts have the Eagles been giving out? Have they been buying their team? So it's the same thing. He went to Baltimore. He learned from the best, because Baltimore's been good for 20 freaking years without a Tom Brady, right? Then he goes to Philly and is an assistant on a GM or whatever. He's in that room and they build a Super Bowl champion on young players. So that's why we got him. We're taking a chance, and we hope. The only question mark was, can he be the guy in charge and do it? And guess what? It's worked out because he's easily the best GM we've ever had, Joe Douglas. In my mind, it's already proven. I don't need to see Super Bowls to know that. I have never, in 40 years of watching this team, seen a GM put together a team the way Joe Douglas has put together this team. And I will forgive the miss on Zach Wilson if it's a miss, because almost every GM in football would have taken him in that spot if they had a quarterback need. Any team, and if they didn't, they would have traded it down. And any team that in that spot, they were not taking. A few of them would have taken Fields. Most were taking Zach Wilson, 70, 75%. No one questioned it when the Jets took Zach Wilson. It was not a bad pick. Sometimes picks don't work out. There's no guarantee with quarterbacks. If he doesn't work out and he's a bust, it doesn't mean that JD's not a good GM. It means he did what almost every other GM does. He missed on quarterback because there's so few that work out. So few. So few. Carr is a dark-haired Andy Dalton. Good numbers, but hasn't won anything. Well, yeah, he's not elite. He's an average to better than average quarterback. He's a guy who needs a great team around him. But if there was no money involved, if we just had Derek Carr and it didn't cost us anything, and we had the same team to build around him, are you kidding me? We'd be amazing because he would have the team around him. I mean, he can't carry it on his own back. He's not good enough to do that. But that doesn't mean but you certainly could put the right team around Derek Carr, and he certainly could be a guy holding up that Lombardi trophy someday. Certainly. Any average to good average. I mean, Trent Dilfer held up that trophy because Tampa Bay put up the right team around him. Thank you. Thank you. It's my birthday. Yeah, you see, the problem is the money. The problem with us is we don't have the money anymore. We are no longer cap cushion. Like the last couple of years we had cap. We no longer have cap. And we have a GM, whether you like it or not, that will not manipulate the cap the way some teams manipulate it, because we're not trying to build a take one shot at the Super Bowl kind of team. That's not who we are. We are building an organization that is going to have a chance for the Super Bowl every year. That's the goal. Right. That's a good question, too. Everybody's so afraid Mike White. Like, oh, he's going to get so much money. Someone's going to come along and give him $25 million. Who? Even if Mike White plays decent, gets us to the playoffs, and we win a playoff game, who's going to pay him $25 million to be their starter right now? That's what I would like to know, because any of the really bad teams, there's no way. This is the draft for quarterbacks. And even I know that's a trap, and even I know most of those quarterbacks won't pan out because that's the way it always is. It doesn't matter. People cannot get over the hype or the dream of drafting a star quarterback because you get them for free basically for 5 years, right? I mean, so you get control of them for 5 years. So the dream is to draft a great quarterback. And this is not the year where someone's going to say, well, let's just go for Mike White. And if Mike White is good enough, that makes people say that. Oh, let's get Mike White. Forget drafting a guy. Then we'll just pay him the money. And it'll suck. But we'll have to go at plan B. We're going to have to let some guys go, and it's going to hurt a little bit. And we're going to have to just continue drafting well and fill those holes with draft guys, with development, and develop players. But I mean, but right now, you're right. It's a great point. Who's coming in right now and paying Mike White $25 million? Who's going to do it? Right now, we don't even know if he's the guy. Our team is leaving the door open for Zach. Right? They haven't even given up and said this is our guy. So, I mean, who else will? The Giants? You think the New York Giants are going to say, screw Daniel Jones, let's get this Mike White kid because he's good for 10, even if he plays another 5 games, 10 games, we're going to go for this kid? Like, who's going to go for this kid and pay him $25 million? It's a good point. But he's going to cost $10 million. If he plays well. If he plays well and wins a playoff game, believe me, he's going to cost $10 million. 10 is better than 30. James Morgan. Yeah, they liked him. They thought he was good. But that was a later round pick, so I never dispute that. Like, I don't care. I don't like that he wasted a 4th round pick on James Morgan, but I don't know. I don't know if it was Gase who did that or if it was Joe. You know what I mean? I don't count anything JD did before 2021. Like, I only the last 2 drafts. And I know some people call bullshit on me for that, but no, because I know what it's like. Like I've been in systems. I've seen schools that have co-principals, and I think it's so stupid because then you can't hold either principal accountable because you don't know who it is. Like, you have to have one person in charge. Our structure sucked. The Jets' structure sucked. They didn't have a man in charge. So you can't hold anybody accountable when there's 2 guys because we don't know who did what. Maybe the Johnsons can, and they obviously did. The Johnsons who were in the office may have said, hey, it seems like the JD type things worked out really well, and the Gase influence things blew up in our face. But we don't know that. We'll never know that. We can only judge JD by the last 2 years. And by the last 2 years, I know the Zach Wilson thing is up in the air and not looking great, but I don't think that was anything you could predict. You can't predict the yips. You can't predict mental breakdowns on players, that their mental psyche wouldn't be down there. We could argue about it all day, but look at all the other picks he made. And how is JD not the man? Look at the trade he made, getting rid of Jamal Adams, getting all those draft picks, and building a team. When have we had a GM that can come in and do that for us? It's been a long time. I mean, maybe the Rex Ryan years, but then when Rex took over, the team went to crap. So, to me, JD is the man. Yeah, well, the 2020 draft didn't reflect someone saying it. The 2020 didn't reflect the systems that we put in because they were drafted for Gase's system. It's true, and I do believe that Mims would be a lot better on a different team that didn't play this system. But at the same time, he's coming along, and we're making him a better all-around wide receiver because he's learning different positions, tons of different routes. We're making him a smarter, better player. The problem is he's still young, but he's got to get it together soon. Otherwise, he'll be in trouble. Right now, Mekhi Becton will likely be trade bait in the offseason. I guess that's possible, but I think we have to draft another tackle if we did that. Because I don't think we're there with tackle. We don't know, because now Max Mitchell becomes a huge question. We expect him to get better, but blood clots, you don't play around with blood clots. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee he's not going to have more blood clot issues because we don't know what caused it. Even they said, we hope he plays next year. We believe he's going to get better and he could play next year. He is just as much a question mark as Becton. Becton had a legitimate injury. It happened again. He got hurt. It wasn't because he's Becton. It wasn't because of something he did wrong. He just bad luck. He got hurt. So there's been guys who've come back from this. There have been guys who've lost, the beginning of their careers, have lost 2 years and then come back and had great careers. Because Becton is only 24. He's going to be 24. If he comes back and it's like everyone's assuming there's no way he's going to come back in shape. Why? You don't think he feels the clock ticking? You don't think he wants a multi-million-dollar contract to take care of his family? Like, I'm pretty confident that Mekhi Becton is probably going to come in, think like right now. Mekhi Becton is probably thinking, I need to get this knee healthy. I need to get down to 350, like a really low weight, because their doctors are probably telling me that the lower I get down my weight, the better chance that my knee will stay healthy. Not only be fit to play football, but my knee needs less weight on it. To assume right away, and this is the trashing of character and that people jump to assume right away that Mekhi Becton, who's just becoming 24 years old, is not a person who could get it together and is not continually growing. Remember back to when you're that age. We're growing. He's growing. You don't think when he looks at his baby and his wife, you don't think that he might turn around and say, I've got to change? I've got to get fit. I've got to lose weight. I've got to make it that I can stay healthy. Oh, you're saying it's the scheme. I still think that Becton could be great in this scheme because it's a run first offense, and he pushes people over. He knocks them over. I think he works in any scheme, especially if he gets his speed back. If he comes in fit, he's very fast for a big man with his strength. I think he could be special. I don't care what the scheme is. I'm sorry. I don't think Becton is a scheme guy. I think Becton is a get in shape guy. And I don't I acknowledge now, even though I defended him, it's very obvious now that he wasn't committed enough with his weight. Even though he came into camp and got fit, that's not the right way to do it. Like to lose 20 pounds a month before camp and then come in is not the way to do it. And 365 was not thin enough. Like if he really cares, he'll get down to 340. For real. He will redefine his body. He'll be pure muscle, 340. That's the kind of thing you need to do because his knee is always going to need that protection. He's always going to need that core muscle and that strength, and he's going to need to take that extra 30 pounds off of that knee. But I'm just saying that it's as likely that Becton can come back and get really fit and be in great shape as it is Max Mitchell at this point. Max Mitchell is a question mark also. But if we're going to trade Becton, fine. That means we have to use our first pick on a tackle. We cannot fail that on the offensive line. And if anything, we need to get better. Like we're still not there where I would like to be as a fan. I don't want just, oh, they're good. If you want to win a Super Bowl, if we want to be serious, we have the defense. What's left on the offense is that line. If we fill that line with studs, that's when you'll see Breece Hall when he comes back, Michael Carter, this kid Bam, whoever it is. They will go crazy. Like we will be able to run the ball all day long. But you have to have an offensive line. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's that he lost the weight too fast. He lost the weight way too fast. And that's a problem. Because you know what I mean? It's like he needs to come into camp. He needs to become a person who weighs 350 and then loses 10 pounds in camp organically and is a 340 guy going into the season. If he does that, there's no question in my mind. I believe 100% if he stays healthy. We can't control his knee. He can't control his knee. All he could do is put his knee in the best situation, which means less weight, staying fit all year round, not being a fat guy walking around on a knee and hurting his knee more. You don't think he knows where to install him? Well, I think next year it'll be easy. Dwayne, you put him at left tackle because Fant will be gone. So the hope is you'll have Mike Mitchell at right tackle and Becton at left tackle. I think that we're going to need to draft a tackle, though, because if you don't sign Fant, Max Mitchell with the blood clots, it's just too risky. Dwayne Brown will be a great guy to have. If as long as he doesn't retire, we have control of him at a good price. So we'll have Dwayne Brown, but I don't want him to. I'd rather it be Becton that wins that job and have Dwayne Brown as the backup. And hopefully that Max Mitchell comes back healthy and he's ready to go. But if they trade Becton, then we have a problem. Dwayne Brown and Max Mitchell coming off of blood clots, we have a huge problem. Like we're gonna have to sign George Fant, and I hope he doesn't, require crazy money that's overpaying him. But we should know as Jet fans because we've went through 6 tackles now, including Becton. If you include Becton, we've went through 6 tackles. Without him, we've played 5 different tackles, including AVT. Like we should know more than anyone that we need to be deep. So if we keep Becton and we keep Mitchell and we have Dwayne Brown, I still think we need to draft a really good tackle. If we don't keep Becton, then we need to draft a tackle and get somebody serviceable in free agency or re-sign Fant. Like we got to protect our line. Our OL has to be good. And we are not moving AVT to tackle. At least I don't think we are. That's like an emergency thing. I don't think that's what their plan is. I mean, but I guess they could put AVT at left tackle. I mean, you could put AVT anywhere. But the question is, do you want it to be a really good tackle, or do you want to have the number one guard in the NFL? Because that's what he'll be. If they stick him at guard, whichever one, you can put him anywhere. At guard, he's going to be the best in the business. I have no question in my mind. The jump he made from year 1 to year 2 and what he showed he can do it by moving around like that, he is the most talented offensive lineman in the NFL, or going to be. He's going to be up there with the elite of the elite. So do you want him to be an elite guard, completely elite, one of the best in the NFL, arguably maybe even become the best by far, and be arguably be the guy? Or do you put him at tackle and he's really good? I mean, he is amazing because at tackle, he's really good, possibly even Pro Bowl. I say if you can keep him at guard and still have two very good tackles, and you have two good tackles, let's say Becton comes back great, and Max Mitchell comes back and he's really good, and you have AVT at guard, man, that's 3 out of 5 spots. Check, check, check. Lakin, the problem with Lakin is we're stuck with him with the money, and we have to just hope. I don't know. He needs to have a comeback year, or he needs to start being more consistent. I think he's been a little bit better in the last few weeks, but this got to stop. We're paying him a lot of money. He needs to be better. He needs to be better than a little bit better. He just needs to be he needs to be one of the top guards in the NFL, because that's how we paid him. I guarantee you it's the last year of Lakin next year. Like, he's gone. As soon as the money thing is up, as soon as the financial commitment is done, he's gone. So look for that. Look for we got to develop a developmental guard, because I don't think we're going to pay Herbig. I don't think we are, because I think somebody's going to come along and want to pay Herbig $10 million the way he played, or the way he's been playing. Yeah, he's a stud. AVT is just a complete stud. It's the best trade we made now. Like, first, I was doubting it year 1. People were doubting it. No more. It's a freaking awesome trade. Getting AVT, man. That Joe Douglas is a genius. Look at the talent, man. The level. We're not just talking about good players. We're talking about elite players. Look at the amount of elite players he has brought into this organization. AVT. I'm not even going to put Elijah up there. But good. Okay, so he put in an elite player in AVT. Very good players in Elijah Moore. Good player. An elite player in AVT. Right? So we said that. A good player in Elijah Moore. A good player in Michael Carter. A good player in Michael Carter II. Right? Very good NFL starters. Who am I forgetting? Then he goes out. We're just talking about draft now. Then he goes out. He gets an elite player in Sauce Gardner. He gets what I believe, and many of us would agree, is proving to be an elite player in Garrett Wilson. As a matter of fact, if Mike White stays in and keeps throwing to him the way he's throwing to him, we might even have Rookie of the Year and have the new Jamal Chase Jefferson type guy. Okay. JJ, I don't care what people say. For right now, his rookie year, he's having a very good rookie year. I'm not going to call JJ elite yet, because we have to see how he develops, but he's off to a great start. He's looking like a great pick. He sets the edge. He's getting some sacks when he's given the opportunity. He only plays 20 to 25% of the snaps, and he's already putting up really great production for a rookie. Breece Hall, elite player. Enough said. Then we go to the 4th round. Then we go to Jeremy Ruckert. He's in development stage. We don't know what we have with him yet. We have 2 very good veteran tight ends. It's not a surprise that he's cooking and developing. There was no injuries or serious injuries. Is why you're not seeing him. And the only reason Yeboah is over him in the special on the depth charts is special teams, and he's more of a receiving tight ends. So he complements the 2 veterans that are there. There's no reason to worry about Jeremy Ruckert. He's a development guy, but we can't credit or discredit JD for that pick, because it's a question mark, because he hasn't had a chance. But then you look at the 4th round, Max Mitchell, who is, if he comes back from this clot thing, which obviously is not JD's fault, we're talking about our right tackle possibly for the next 10 years. Above average, may even make some Pro Bowls. Then you have Michael Clemens, and I don't even have to go into that. I mean, even if he's just an above average defensive edge, to get him in that round for nothing like that is insane. So I don't remember. I mean, and then by the way, okay, free agency. He went out and got us G.J. Reed, who's ridiculous. All his contracts are short and controllable and manageable. He doesn't have any bad contracts out there that were stuck. Oh, and I forgot Jamie Sherwood, by the way, who I think is going to be a very good tight end. But again, that has to be proven. But I believe that Jamie Sherwood is going to prove to be a very good linebacker. I mean, honestly, I think he's just stuck behind C.J. Mosley. So that's the one bad thing is he can only play the one. Apparently, they only have him pegged as the guy who can play the one position. But he's going to be very good. Like, there's so much talent. But the free agency, he brought in DJ Reed. Oh my God. He brought in Herbig, who's now going to be a $10 million guy somewhere else because he's so good. Undrafted free agents. Bryce Huff. Bam Bam. Signed Mike White, who at the very least, we're all agreeing, at the very least is a great number 2 backup quarterback. We're looking like it. I mean, he's going to get better. He's 27. He's played 5. He started 5, played in 6 games. Like, so there's no reason not to think he's going to at least be a really great backup quarterback because the film is already showing him do things that a lot of starters can't do. So JD, I mean, it's just endless. Like, there's so many arguments of why he's such an incredible GM. I mean, G.J. Reed's not the only guy he brought in. Corey Davis was a good signing. He's a bargain now. If you look at the rest of the league and what they get paid, he's a bargain. He's not perfect, but Corey Davis is a bargain. Don't forget, the drops suck, but his blocking is elite. Like, he's top of the NFL in wide receiver blocking, during route, when other receivers have the ball. Like, he's one of the best in the NFL, and it matters. He's helping us with yak. He's helping us with big plays. So, I mean, JD has done an amazing job. He's brought in so much talent. Justin Hardy, my issue with Justin Hardy is the stupid penalties. But outside of that is obviously super talented and makes our special teams much better. He finally found us a field goal kicker. And our punt coverages and, the one play they cheated and, the rest didn't call it. But other than that, our special teams is all around across the board been really good, filled with good players. So, I don't know. JD might be the best we've ever had. I think so. A good start to the draft would be the first LT, then safety or linebacker. Keep Brown as a backup. Be perfect. We also need to pay areas. Yeah, I mean, like, we have to figure out center for the future. I don't know if we're going to bring back Herbig only because there's no room for him. If I could do it over again, if we could do it all over again, the best thing would be is not get Lincoln. Herbig was the starter from the beginning. That would have been the best scenario for us because we're stuck with now. But that's why JD is so smart, because we don't get locked into long-term horrible contracts. If Lincoln doesn't play better, we're stuck with him for one more year. And even with him not playing well, it's not a complete miss because he's not horrible. He's just not living up to his contract. But he's not a bust. Like, he's not awful. I mean, he's still an average to, better than average guard. It's just that we paid him to be a star, and he's not. Yeah, Clemens has not been practicing because of the flu. So I don't want him to play if he's not 100%. It doesn't make any sense because he's going to be weak. When you have a flu, you come back weak. But Michael Clemens at 50%, being weak for him is still 10 times stronger than any normal human being. So, you have that. But I just think with our rotation and the amount of guys that we have on the defensive line, it seems unlikely they would try to force Clemens in because he's just not critical enough right now. Love what he's going to do for us in the future, though. Yeah, Huff is going to definitely get a huge raise, but we can't let him go. Happy birthday, you jerk. Much love. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate that. Love being called a jerk. Flu can't hold Clemens down. I hope not, but, it holds him out of practice. So, dude, the flu is the flu. The flu is the flu. I'm sorry. I can't do any jokes about it. The flu is the flu. Too many people in the hospital over this thing. I don't know what the hell's going on in the world. McGovern disappointed in his first year with us after leaving Denver, and now he's a solid starting center. Lincoln should be able to rebound in the second year. I hope so, because I agree with this. I agree with this 100%. The only reason I didn't expect it to be Lakin is because he came from the same system, so we're not asking him to do anything new. Whereas McGovern, his first 3 years here, each year played a different system. So, take care, brother. Thanks for coming. Yeah, look, I have no problem with the way Lawson is playing. It's like, again, everybody looks at the one stat of sacks. He's been getting home. It's a lot of it is he's pushing. They're running up. The quarterbacks are stepping up like we hoped they would. He's coming around the end, and they're quickly stepping up, and then Quinnen gets the sack, or Rankins gets the sack, or somebody. You know what I mean? There's so many plays where somebody gets to the quarterback, and Lawson is right there. He's just not the first, because Lawson is being double teamed. He's coming around the edge. He's causing all this disruption, and he's clearing paths for other guys that are beating him there because of that. And I'm not making excuses for him. You can watch the tape. That's what he's doing. So I don't care what the stat says. I know how valuable Lawson is. Like, Lawson is valuable. Is this statement true? Probably. Quinnen Williams is better, but then again, there's no shame in that, because Quinnen Williams might be the best defensive lineman in the NFL. There, I said it. Because guess what? Our friend in Los Angeles that plays for the Rams is not having such a great year. And I can't think of any other guy on the defensive line that's doing what Quinnen Williams is doing. I mean, it might be out there. I'm not claiming to be an expert on every team, but no one's standing out to me in my mind. I mean, I know there's some good ones. I know the Eagles have some good guys on the inside, but I don't see anybody doing what Quinnen Williams is doing. He's an absolute stud. Yeah, I mean, but Quinnen needed to have good guys around him. Like, it was part of the problem. Was like, it's like there's only so many sacks you can get coming in from the inside. If you don't have good edges, it's hard to get the sack because the quarterback could just step to either side, right? He can go left, he can go right. But if you have two guys causing commotion on the edge, it's harder to do that. Plus, it's harder. They're still double teaming Quinnen a little bit, but it's harder to do. It's harder to double team him because then you're leaving people open, and that's what he's doing too. That's what makes Quinnen so special. Because even if you double team Quinnen and he doesn't do anything that game, he still helped the team. Because if you're double teaming him, someone else is going off. If you have to put two guys to block him, that's a mismatch. Somebody else is coming free or just getting chipped. So the fact that he gets double teamed and he makes plays, that's why he's the best defensive lineman in the NFL right now. And that's why other teams will scarf and say, what you're talking about? So stupid. You're a home, flyboy, jet fanboy or something. It's like, no, you idiot. He's making those plays while being double teamed. So that's why our line is dominating, because every offensive line we go against is short a player because they're double teaming our freaking inside tackle. They're having to double team our defensive tackle, which is making our talented outside players have a field day. They're feasting because of that. So it's not only the plays that Quinnen makes, it's the fact that he's creating a situation that's allowing our other players to feast. And that's why I say, I'm not saying it was definite, but I'm throwing it out there that it's not ridiculous. It's not a ridiculous take to say Quinnen Williams is the best defensive lineman in the NFL right now. And it's like, and I'm willing to debate it. I'm not going to, there might be other people that are better, and I just don't know because I don't watch every game from every other team, and I'm willing to talk about it. I'm not saying it factly, but I'm saying it is something that might be true. Was Chris Jones really good? Is that what you're talking about? I know there was a guy that in preseason that the Eagles drafted from Alabama or Georgia that looked like he was going to be the greatest defensive tackle in history. He dominated us in preseason, but I haven't heard about him much this year, so I don't know. But it doesn't really matter if Quinnen's the best or he's not the best. The point is he's a superstar. The point is he's elite. The point is he's making our defense off the charts good. And that's all that really matters. Like, we have an incredible defense now, and a big part of it is Quinnen Williams because he's creating all kinds of crazy disruption for us. So it's really nice. He's a 300-pound stick of butter. Oh, he's been injured. But am I right, though, that he was great before he got injured? Like, he was freaking sick, man. He was like, it was a rookie. He was playing like he was the best player in the NFL. I mean, I know it was preseason, but he was like dominating us. It was absolutely insane how good he is. Like, I was like, holy shit, we should have. But, Jet Nation, if we picked Jordan Davis in the first round with either of our top two picks, like, they would have burned down Jets one drive because we are not allowed to take defensive tackle in the top 10 anymore. Now we can take defensive tackle. Like, if there's if we're picking 20th in the draft, 21st in the draft, somewhere around there, and there's a defensive tackle that JD thinks should have been top 10 that he thinks slipped, it's no longer too high of a draft pick to use on defensive tackle. It's just that I think people would have a problem if we draft in our strongest area. I think people would more depth on the offensive line. If we lose Herbig to free agency and don't sign George Fant, we need people. We need more people. Sorry about that. We're always better with the lead because our team is built with a great defensive line and running, right, Snowball? So we always want to be in a situation to win the game. We have the opportunity to run as much as we want because we're not playing from behind, and we actually want to run the clock down. And then from the other perspective, if we go into a lead offensively, that means our defensive line gets to feast a little bit more on Josh Allen. Thanks, J. Cole. Appreciate that. It is my birthday. And Baba Booey. It's not his birthday, but you can always yell out Baba Booey. It's always appropriate. It's never inappropriate to yell out Baba Booey. People do it all over the world and events all over the world. Some of them don't even know what it means. Bam Knight, over 100 scrimmage yards again. Well, Michael Carter's coming back. So that would be the only thing that would stop it, is Michael Carter's coming back. So if he comes back and he's like really good, then it might interfere with Bam Knight. But I mean, if I was putting a bet on it, I would say yes, because you're talking about total reception and passing yards. And right now he's insanely good in both. But I'm not sure, and I wouldn't be confident. It's not the bet I would make of all bets because Michael Carter's coming back. And we have to remember that Michael Carter is the most open offensive player in the NFL right now. He's ranked number 1 in the NFL in ability to get open, higher than any tight end or receiver or other running back. So Michael right now is ranked number 1 in all of the NFL in getting open. So if he's healthy, Buffalo's the kind of team where you have to kind of dump off to your running back. I think both of them can eat. We'll see. It's going to be hard for Bam Knight to run against Buffalo and dominate them. But I hope he does. I hope he turns out to be. I hope we got 2 Breece Halls. I hope we got Breece Hall, who's ridiculous. And I hope that Bam Knight is the shocker of the whole NFL, like where he's a guy on any other team would also be a top 10 back in the NFL. I hope we just did that. I hope we have Mike. I hope we have Michael Carter, who's the best get open guy. Breece Hall comes back healthy, and we have pretty much one of the best running backs in the NFL. And then we have this kid, Bam Knight, who's going to prove to be like another top 10 type running back. And we're going to have the best 3-headed monster in the NFL. We're going to we're going to have the best running game in the NFL. But to make all of that matter at all is the offensive line. We've got to make sure that we keep finding players. And I don't want to just be average or a little better than average. I want to go back to 2009, 2010. I want to have an offensive line that's top 5 in the NFL. Because if you think, you want to see our weapons explode? Can you imagine if we get a top-notch offensive line, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Bam Bam, they're going to feast. And then any quarterback playing for us is going to have time in the pocket with Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Conklin, in the future maybe Ruckert, Ozama. Dude, we got weapons. Berrios, we got weapons up our ass. It's all, it's got to be an offensive line that predicates all of this. If you don't have a really good offensive line, it just limits what this all means. If your quarterback doesn't have a lot of time in the pocket, you can't get through all the progressions, and you're going to have the receivers are wasting away. And if you don't have a great offensive line for the running game, I don't care how good your running backs are. They're just going to either get injured or they're not going to be able to make the big explosive plays we want because there's no opportunity. There's got to be some hole or some space that the running back can then turn into a big play. I think it's doable because we're talking about you're talking about total yards from scrimmage. So obviously total yards from scrimmage. Bam Knight is a home run hitter, and so is Carter. These are big play guys. These are guys who are capable of breaking 50-yard plays. Bam Knight is very known for it now. Our camp, he was doing it. Now he's doing it in games. He's doing big plays, big chunk plays. So getting to 100 yards wouldn't be that difficult if he gets one big 40 to 50-yard chunk play. Then you're talking about 50 from running and receiving. Why not? But it's hard to bet on production for players because you don't know how the game is going to go. I love that comparison. Give me that all day. Give me that all day. Well, there's no way to know, by the way, how they're going to play our running backs because it's always going to be the hot hands. I don't know if he's that fast. I think that he's actually considered slow, but I think he said that it was because he was working so hard in the other parts of the combine to impress people that he put up a slow time for him, that he's really a 4.5 guy, but he put up like a 4.7. But he's not a 4.3, 4.4 guy. But there's also something called football speed, right? He's not good running a 40 maybe and putting up the best time in the 40, but we see it on the field. He's fast for football, meaning part of it is from a running back, when they say speed, more important than speed is being able to make one cut, make a quick decision, being very decisive, just like a quarterback, super decisive. When you get that ball and you look up and you're seeing the field, super, super decisive. One cut, explode. And that's what he does. He's a north-south runner, one cut and go runner. And if you think I came up with that terminology or I'm doing this with my own expertise, you would be wrong. I am repeating what Dom C said and what he showed me. Dom C pointed it out in the film. He goes, look, that's Bam Knight making a quick decision right at the line of scrimmage to take a little bit of a cut left, and then he goes straight into that cut and does nothing else. No juking and jiving. He makes the one cut really quick, and he takes it for whatever he can get, and then he's all power. When it clogs up and they start getting a hold of him, he fights and fights and fights for more yardage for every inch. Got to love that about a player. He fights for every single inch. I know that Al Pacino would love him. You fight for every inch, and it's the inches, inch by taking those inches, that wins the game. So if you care about winning, you will fight for every inch. That's my Al Pacino, by the way. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's football fast. There's football fast. Meaning when like on a track, it's different. The jump, and this and that. But there's football fast of what's your actual speed when you are sprinting. Like maybe he's not a guy that responds to a gun. It's a different sport, track and field. Like some of those guys on the track, it's not that they're so much faster than the NFL players. They train their whole lives at that sport. That means knowing how to get a jump, knowing how to get to that top speed in the shortest amount of time after they blow that gun. That's a different skill than when I'm running and accelerating on a football field. It's similar. It gives you an idea of how fast they are, but there are guys that get drafted too early because they work so hard on getting that 40 speed down, or they did track. So they get the 4.4 speed or the 4.3, and the other guy gets the 4.5, and then we see what happens. The 4.5 guy is a big star, and the 4.3 guy is a bust because they worked on one specific skill. Whereas similar to quarterback, what really makes you a star as a running back, more important than all the other things, is the processing. Being able to, in that split second, be decisive and find the hole. And that's not always something you could detect out of college, and it's not always something you can coach. But I'm telling you, the elite running backs, Adrian Peterson, Emmitt Smith, Tony Dorsett, Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, it was more than just speed. It was the ability to process the field in a very short amount of time. They hand me the ball, I look, and it's just a vision and an instinct of what to do. Taking the block, bouncing off. There are some guys that are just better at it than other guys. Because it's like tons of guys are fast and powerful. It doesn't make them elite running backs. What makes them special is instinct. It's the same quarterback, linebacker, quarterback, running back. It's the same thing that makes it hard to know every time who's going to be great and who's not. It's instinct. It's like that's more important than the speed. Reacting and starting to run the right direction towards where the ball's going to be is more important than your speed at linebacker. It's like I could be a 4.3 linebacker if it takes me a half a second longer to read what's going on and start going in the right direction. It doesn't matter that I'm fast. I could be much slower, but be a guy that just knows where the ball's going to be. Lawrence Taylor was fast, but it doesn't matter. What made Lawrence Taylor great was he was like magic. Like he had spider sense. He knew exactly where the play was going to be. He was there every time. It didn't matter which side of the field. It wasn't just speed. Yes, he was fast, but he was going the direction that he was supposed to be going to make a play faster than any other player was able to do it. No other linebacker was able to make the determination and have the instinct of where they needed to be like Lawrence Taylor. And people used to argue at the time, dude, Butkus and Otis Singletary and this guy and Ray Allen. No linebacker touches Lawrence Taylor if you've watched football. Anybody who remembers, anybody who watches tape, anybody who understands, nobody touched Lawrence Taylor in who's the best. Nobody. And it wasn't because there aren't tons of guys that are strong like him and can run as fast as him. It's instinct. So that's why Bam Knight may have slipped under the radar. When someone says, how is it possible that no one knew about Bam Knight? Well, first of all, it wasn't. A lot of us wanted to draft him and was shocked when he wasn't drafted. A lot of us wanted him to make the roster, and a lot of us were pissed when he was released. And then when he's put on the practice squad, a lot of us were pissed that he might get poached because a lot of us believed in him and loved him from watching him in college. But it didn't show up on paper, and that's why he slipped. And that's the problem sometimes with the NFL. It's like, and thank God that Joe Douglas was able to recognize with his eyes what Bam Knight was. But because of how talented our roster how talented our roster has become, we had to risk him. We had to put him at risk. But I was mad. I never thought he should have been put at risk over Ty Johnson. Like I never thought Ty Johnson should be protected. But Bam Knight, we exposed. I was always against it. Remember? I don't know if those of you remember, we were all going nuts. We were all pissed about it. and during my live shows. We were pissed off. We were like, "What the hell are we doing? Why is Mike White? I mean, why is Van Knight not protected on the 53-man roster?" But thank God the agent brought him to us, and everybody was interested in him, which is a good sign. Everybody was interested. After he didn't get drafted, everybody wanted him. If you run a 4.3, you are fast, period. Yeah. But you're not a star, period. That's the difference. You're not a star. It helps. It's a great attribute to have speed. It helped Victor Cruz, right? But you're not. But there's plenty of fast guys that are huge busts because it's not just about speed, right? If it was just about speed, you put the fastest guys at linebacker every time, right? It would just be the guys that run the fastest. But it goes deeper than speed. Speed is a great attribute. It's a great thing to have. It's one of the pieces that can make you a star. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to respond. If you're in the wrong place, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's why guys fail. They're fast, they're great athletes, and you have to cut them because they just can't get to where they don't have the instinct. I think that's what might be holding back Denzel Mims. It's like super fast, tall. How is he not better than he is? Well, it might just be he doesn't have football instincts. I'm hoping that's not true. I'm hoping it's because he got a bad deal and now he's coming out of it and he's getting really good. And I hope he keeps getting better, but he's not going to get much of an opportunity when you have Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. You don't get as many opportunities. You don't get the reps. Plus, you're not going to be high in the progressions, right? So it's not like Mike White is dropping back and looking at Denzel Mims. He's looking at Garrett Wilson. If that was there, maybe he pre-read the defense and it wasn't. He's looking towards, like second in the progression on most of our plays is probably Elijah. Where's Elijah? I got to look over there. Did they take the defense, take that away? Where's the linebacker looking? Right. And now I'm already at a point where I got to check off if those two things aren't working. But how many times is he snapping the ball saying Denzel? I mean, more Denzel, it's going to be harder for him. But sometimes he's going to line up, and the way the defense lines up, Denzel will be the first look. Right? Sometimes just by looking at the defense when he's snapping the ball, Mike White's going to say, okay, they're stacked on Garrett. I can't throw to him. Elijah Moore is running into the most trafficky part of the field because I could see they're going to play zone. So that's not going to work. And right away, this is what makes a quarterback effective, by the way. This is what goes on in their brains. And these are all the things they have to know and understand. He has to, sometimes as a quarterback, to win the play, you have to know two guys right off the bat. You're not going to be able to throw those two guys. You have to know that right from the bat, right from the beginning. Boom. I know I can't go to those two places based on what I see. Right from that first frame. I learned this from Dom C. But I know that Denzel Mims is running a slant. And since I see the linebackers committing to staying in, he's going to be in open space. That's how you get Mims the ball. But that's luck too on Mims because that's determined by the defense determines that. Right? Sometimes the defense is going to take that away from you before you even did anything. Because just by the way they're playing, Mike White knows I can't look at Mims. He's not going to be in a good spot based on the defense. That's what people don't understand. It's not about every play the receiver has a chance to get open and get the ball. It's not. Sometimes just based on the defense, that receiver is not going to get an opportunity. He's not going to be looked at because the quarterback is reading the defense and already knows that it's not the right play to throw to him. It's a part of the game we don't understand until you watch my show on Wednesday nights with Dom C. And Dom C teaches us that when we watch the tape. It's one of the things I learned from him, and I continue to learn from him. Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I thought that's why he's there. I wouldn't do it more than once, but in the red zone once in a while, in all those times in the red zone, in all those plays, how we didn't do a fade to Mims is beyond me. It's beyond me. Or Garrett Wilson. It doesn't have to be Mims, but Garrett Wilson could be the decoy because that's who they expect it to be. Right? So Garrett Wilson could be the decoy because they're double teaming him. And if they do that, then you have Mims fade on the other side. He's one-on-one with a safety type situation. 6'3", 6'4", around that height. with his strength and ability to make contested catches, yeah, I would have called a play like that. That works for me. Yeah, and there's Corey too. We got a lot of red zone options because Corey's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He makes too many drops, though. I mean, but not so much in the end zone, I don't think. Most of his drops have been just usually early in the game. Like, it's almost like he's not warmed up. I don't care what people say. Oh, he was a little off. He was behind him on the throw. Yes, quarterbacks can't throw perfect dime every pass. It's not possible. None of them do. Maybe they're on the best days of their career. You take the best games in their career, they were pretty much on target the whole game. But any great player, even Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, they're not going to be perfect every pass. That's why being a championship team is more than just one player. Sometimes the wide receiver helps the quarterback. Sometimes the quarterback helps the wide receiver. But remember, there are so many. I can't tell you because my friend's kid plays for high school. He's selecting a college for scholarship. And he's super good at wide receiver. But there's a chance he's going to be nothing. He's going to go to college and be a nobody when he gets to that level. Or he might rise near that level. There's so many super fast, tall, anywhere from 6 foot to 6'3", super fast, studly, strong, great wide receivers in this country coming out of college, in high school, going into college. There's so many. And you're picking the best of the best. Every roster has a 5. That's 150. The 150 wide receivers that are actually playing and on a roster are the best in the world. Out of so many thousands and thousands. Come on, everybody played with someone who's good, someone's fast, and he catches the ball all the time. So wouldn't you expect, if you're in the top 150 in the world, if you're an NFL wide receiver, that sometimes, even though the quarterback doesn't throw it perfectly to you, that you're going to catch the ball and make good catches? That's what good wide receivers do. Whenever we see a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson makes a great catch, we don't say, oh, the quarterback sucks. Right? We don't sit there and get on the quarterback and say he sucks. Kirk Cousins sucks. Because technically, every time you see Jefferson make a great play, Kirk Cousins could have thrown it a little bit better. But nobody realistically that knows about football thinks that a quarterback has to throw the ball perfectly every play. So in that first quarter, it wasn't a great pass by Mike White, but it wasn't a horrible pass. It was a little off. It was a little behind him. It was bad luck that the first thing is, we are allowed to expect Corey Davis, not be pissed at him, but expect him to be able to make that catch sometimes and help his quarterback, because it was reachable to both his hands. It wasn't uncatchable. Great wide receivers make that catch. That's what's stopping Corey Davis from being great. That's why Corey Davis is good, but not great. Literally, because he doesn't make catches like that. So the fact that the ball popped up 5 yards and fell into the hands of a defender is just really bad luck. But that's what that's what makes somebody he's okay, but he's not great. That's the thing. The the throw was absolutely fine. Anybody who did that anybody who blames the throw on that last play to Berrios does not know football. They're blind, or they're a Zach lover who wants to find fault, so their brain is distorted. Because you could watch that play a million times. They showed that replay a million times. That pass was 6 inches off, but that's not considered off. That's a good throw, because nobody can throw it to the exact spot. If you say because Berrios fell down in the end zone, right? He was going that direction and went down to the ground. A perfect throw would have, as he was moving, hit him in the chest. That's perfect. Now understand, Mike White is throwing to a moving target, and it was not running the route he was supposed to run. They made a mental connection, which is beautiful, by the way. He went off script because what Berrios was supposed to do was not going to work. He was not going to be able to get open. So he improvised. And Mike White was able to see and trust he was going to improvise, which is amazing to me. He was able to know in his heart Braxton is going to cut inside to the front of the end zone because that's the only move he has. And I'm going to trust him to do it. And he got ready and started to throw. So when Braxton did it, he threw the ball. And all of this, he literally, when he was moving Braxton and going to the ground, because there's an unscripted play, he had to estimate where he was going to fall to the ground. And he literally threw it to his right shoulder pec. Maybe only 4 inches off the center of his freaking chest. And Berrios put both his hands on the ball. So it was a little behind him. He was like going like this, a little behind him, both hands on the ball, dropped it, pulling it in. Anyone who said that wasn't a good pass, it wasn't only don't blame the pass. It was a good pass. And it was a greatly executed play by both Mike White and Berrios. Berrios was brilliant for what he did, recognized that it wasn't going to work, knew his quarterback only had a certain amount of time, picked a new route, improvised a route that got open for his quarterback. Mike White recognized what his receiver was going to do before he did it, or as he did it. Everything about that play was beautiful, except unfortunately and tragically for us and for the game, Berrios picked that moment, or that was the moment he dropped the ball. And I forgive him because nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can expect to catch every ball thrown to them. But to sit there and say it was the throw is not somebody who's being honest. It's somebody who's brainwashed for Zach Wilson. They blamed Mike White because they want Zach Wilson to be in the game, or they're still mad that Zach Wilson's not in. And I am not a Zach Wilson hater. I am telling you, there's no other way to justify anybody thinking or saying that pass wasn't a good pass. The only explanation is I'm so brainwashed that Zach Wilson should be in the game that I'm literally going to see things that aren't real. And I don't forgive people for it because it wasn't like they said it right when it happened. They were saying it after watching the replay. After watching the replay, if you say that wasn't a good pass, you just either are lying or you honestly, I don't know how to say it, you just don't understand football. You're like when I was teaching my wife about football. She didn't know anything. That's who you are. You're someone who doesn't understand football. If you don't understand that a pass at the NFL level with that much pressure in that situation that literally is still inside your shoulders, you throw the ball inside the shoulders to a receiver who's moving and falling to the ground is not a good pass when you're having to throw it and time it. If you don't know that, that's because you don't understand football. And I'm sorry if it hurts your ego and you think that you're someone who knows football, but you don't. Or your excuse is, yeah, I guess I'm brainwashed a little bit about Zach Wilson. I guess I want Zach Wilson to be the quarterback so badly that I allowed my brain to process what was in front of me incorrectly. Because there's no other explanation. Because you could watch it in slow motion over 1,000 times, and there's nothing you could say, and nobody that's respectable, no analyst, other football player, has publicly come out and said that wasn't a good pass. That wasn't Berrios' fault. That was on Mike White. No one. Not one. Not one. Not one respected analyst. Even Rich Cimini, who probably would love to cause trouble. Rich Cimini, Dick Chimney, like going after Berrios doesn't help him because everyone's going to forgive Berrios. It would have been much better for Cimini to blame White, but he didn't. You know why? Because not even he would sink that low because he knew it was a good pass. Everybody that knows football knows it was a good pass. There was nothing wrong with that pass. And yet there were people who tried to blame Mike White. Mike White threw a football into the hands of a receiver that would have put us up in the game with 90 seconds left in the game. Doesn't mean we definitely would have won. But Mike White put the Jets in a position to win that game in a hostile stadium against the 9-2 team. So that's not me bashing Zach. That's not me being a Zach hater. That's me being a football fan that's appreciating something one of our players did for our team. That's all it is. I know I go on rambles and I go into new things and it leads to different things, but this is the reality. What's up, Chris Bradigan? Thank you. Good to see you here. It's been a while. I hope you're doing better health-wise. But good to see you here, brother. Right, exactly. All this is saying what I'm saying. And it can't be more than 6 inches because you can watch it on film, right? I mean, the difference, like the center of your chest to the end of your shoulder only goes so far. So it's not possible to be more than 6 inches off. And you can't, and it's impossible to say it wasn't within his shoulders because you could see it physically that the ball was thrown in between Berrios' shoulders, which is all you could ever expect. The only time you could start critiquing a quarterback, and not even that heavily because it depends on the situation, is when the hands have to go outside of the shoulders because now you're off target. If I'm going down and I have to reach out for the ball, that's off target. Fine. Now, that doesn't mean the quarterback is bad because you got to look at the situation. Maybe they're getting hit by a defender, and it's amazing they were able to do it. And then we were saying, okay, we were asking Berrios to do something beyond average wide receiver. We were asking him to make what you call a great play. If Berrios catches that ball, the only reason it makes the highlight reel is not because it's a great catch. It makes the highlight reel because of the moment, because it was the touchdown that put the Jets ahead. That's the only reason it would make a highlight reel. Nobody would use it as a highlight for Berrios' catching ability. If he holds on to that ball, nobody says, wow, what a catch by Berrios. We would love Berrios. We'd say Berrios. And the reason to love him in that situation is not because of the catch. It's because he went off script and got open. That's what we should have loved about Berrios. And I still appreciate that about Berrios. Like, even with him dropping the ball, it doesn't change the fact that Berrios is our smartest player. Like, Berrios is one of our smartest players because very few players could go off script like that in a way that the quarterback sees it and predicts it. Like, it shows he's really got a great feel for coverage in the NFL. But, we could dwell on that forever. We could dwell on it forever, but eventually at some point we have to let it go. And even with like Mike LaFleur, as upset as I am with some of the plays that he made and the trick plays and some of the things that he did, I will acknowledge at the end of the day, Mike LaFleur put us in a position to win that game. He made mistakes, and I want to see improvements, but he's not horrible. He's not freaking he's not some of the freaking offensive coordinators we've seen in the past. Remember Joe Walton when he went to Pittsburgh as an offensive coordinator after we fired him, and they used to chant, "Joe, where's the O?" That's not Mike LaFleur. He's a real offensive coordinator. He's real. He just has some stuff to learn. And Jets 82, thank you so much. I appreciate the shout out and the happy birthday. Jets mess. A snacker is in here. I want to thank him for being a snacker. All of you who are snackers, thank you. I'm actually going to start doing some special shows where only snackers, only members can participate in the chat. That's not going to be for my Wednesday show or the normal shows, but I'm going to do special shows. So if you're saying right now, wait a second, he's going to do special shows where only a few people get to be in the chat. How do I make that happen? What is he talking about? How do you become a snacker? Becoming a snacker is really easy. It only costs a few bucks a month. But believe it or not, it keeps the lights on. It keeps this channel alive. It's what sponsors and pays the bills for my cost of running the channel. And it's only a few bucks a month. It's just making a small contribution to keep the channel going. All you have to do is go to my regular page, go to the home page, and there's a join button. Hit the join button, figure it out from there. So I appreciate anybody who does that. Become a snacker. You get some benefits, you get some perks, you get some extra emoticons. I call it out. I keep your name up here for a while. I tell everybody how special you are for helping my channel. So there's other incentives too. There's higher levels of the program. If you do one of the higher levels of the program, actually gets you a spot on the show if you want. So you can actually come up as my guest and be on the show. If you become a super snacker, which nobody has, and I don't blame you, then you basically get to run the channel with me. I'll make you a partner. Okay. Jermaine Butler, Zach Wilson passing ability was shown during the offseason minicast. Was never corrected. Why are we surprised? So yeah, there is some question to why they didn't help work on his mechanics. I think that his mechanics are good in practice because there's no pressure. So I'm thinking, oh, look at that, somebody joined. I I think that he has good fundamentals in practice. I don't think what we're seeing is that Zach Wilson doesn't have good fundamentals. I mean, most of up until what's going on now. I'm saying is I think he had okay fundamentals in practice when he's not under pressure. I think when he's not under pressure, he does everything fine. I think the problem is when he's in a game and he starts to feel pressure, he loses his fundamentals, which means they're not muscle memory enough. The answer to that is it's got to be so instilled in you. It's got to be such muscle memory that even under the most high extreme levels of pressure, you're still able to, you're fundamentally sound because the muscle memory is that strong. It's kind of like an improv thing. Me and my brother, when the improv shows aren't going, like we're always on and we're always doing the right things, not because we're having to think about it, because it's muscle memory. We just know how to improvise. But I just had to throw that in because my brother's here. This chat is a day early. Tomorrow is my daughter-in-law's birthday, not today. I don't think today is anyone's birthday. What a nice brother I have, huh? So anyway, somebody became a member just now because of that rant of mine. So I want to, New York Jets Tales, thank you so much for signing up and becoming a snacker. I appreciate you. I appreciate you signing up and becoming a member. Thank you, brother. And I think that there are some of those emoticons are being used right now. Jets Mess is showing them off. You see the JETS. I can't put it up because it doesn't show when I put it up, but I could see it on my, like you guys are seeing it in the chat. If you look at Jets Mess, the JETS in capitals, those are all extra emoticons, plus my little Jets Cast bald head subscribe button and the little Jets thing. The only thing I will not put in is that little that Ryan does for Jets Talk 24/7 is that little bad take thing, because then Green Bean's gonna like hit the bad take thing every time I talk, because I did it to him and he's a big baby who's gonna need to get revenge. But thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. I love having new members. It's great. New snackers. You've been a member for 3 months? Well, I don't. Oh, but it says right now, like, oh, that was your free milestone chat. Okay, so a free milestone chat is like a a free milestone chat is like you don't have to pay money and it's treated like a super chat. But you didn't write anything for your milestone chat. That's what's weird. Let me see this. How come I can't see it? Like something popped up and it says New York Jets Tales, member for 3 months, light snacker. It says free milestone chats too. Exclamation point. Oh, that was your chat. Okay. I don't know why I can't find it though. Like in I can't find it in this stupid StreamYard. Like I could see it on my YouTube, but can't find it to highlight it, which is really irritating. Oh, maybe it's right. Where the hell is it? Like, why doesn't it let you? It's really irritating. Yeah, it's so stupid. It really doesn't let me highlight it. Like, so I don't know what to tell you guys. Don't join. Don't become a member. I'm just kidding. I'll see it and read it out. New York Jets Tales. Super chat, but not really a super chat. It's a free milestone chat. He said free milestone chats too. He's trying to help me recruit and convince you to join. It doesn't make sense that it's not here. Boo, boo, boo. Rich. It should be the one right after Rich. But it skips it and goes right to all gas, no gas. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in the world. Anyway, become a member. And this guy is a principal. It's not my fault. It doesn't let me highlight it. Yeah, I that's because I don't see it. Like I can't highlight it. I can mention it, but I can't highlight it because it's not showing up in StreamYard. That's the thing. It's like the weirdest thing. I've never had this problem before. it's not showing up. Like it literally, like on all the things that I'm highlighting right now, there's nothing that shows that. It does not let me highlight that. It does not show up in StreamYard at all. I could highlight all these things. There's the one right before yours. And this is the one right after yours. It skips you and is not showing up in StreamYard. So I have no idea. That makes no sense. Let's see. But anyway, I'm giving you lots of attention now, right, buddy? What's up, Jim Puck? How's it going? I'm going to sign off soon because I'm tired. And oh yeah, pizza is one of the things too. I'm actually going to order a pizza pretty soon. So anyway, thank you everybody. Thanks for coming on for my birthday show. I can't believe it's been 2.5 hours. I'm starting to lose my voice. So anyway, I will be back on tomorrow on Green Bean's channel for the watch party. We're playing Buffalo. I know a lot of people don't think we're going to win. There's a lot of people doubting us. There's a lot of people that think that Mike White is going to be this awful, horrible quarterback tomorrow, and he's not going to be able to play and do well against Buffalo. I will just say this. I'm a Jets fan. I really want them to win against Buffalo. So I'm going to root for Mike White and hope he plays really well and the Jets win. I don't know what you're doing and why you have to bother me now. My wife is giving me something that she ordered from somewhere. I'm going to pull it out now. You all get to see me open up what I think is a present, which is why I think she just delivered it. Oh, look what she got me. Jet socks. She got me Jet socks. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see. Oh, Jet socks. They're going to be like long socks that I can... Look at that. Well, let's open it up so you can see it. Oh, yeah. Jet socks. This is the first time... this is the last time I'll be able to sniff them without them smelling bad. Ah, they smell good too. My wife got me... So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow during the game. Just remember to root for him as hard as you can. Remember that if we win, we're competing for the division for sure. If we lose, we still have a very good chance to compete for the playoffs. It's not over. And let's hope that Mike White plays really well. And he's great. Let's hope that. That's better. It's better. Even though it might mean he stays in for the next game, and some of you don't want that. If you're a Jet fan, you'll root for the Jets tomorrow and root for whoever's playing quarterback. I would love to shock the world and shut people up, and I think that we are capable of doing it. I think we have the defense to do it. I think we can win this game. George Fant came in and played well last week. I think we got a good offensive line now. Everybody's playing well that's on the offensive line. Everyone's there. Everyone's good. The only one left that's been out of practice for the flu is Clemens. That's okay. We have all of our other guys. We're very healthy right now. Everybody had everybody had full practice that we expect to be active. Let's win this game, baby. All right? Let's win this game. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Appreciate all of you. Have an amazing Saturday night. I'll have a great birthday just for you, I promise. Go Jets. I leave you with... What do I leave you with? Will you leave you with this? Greatest co-host in the world! Y2K99. Get ready to rumble!
The tag team champions of the world.
My brotherly crevasse
has the best intro I have ever received.
The world.
The Buffalo Jets fan.
Yo.
George Fant is a barely above replacement level, pretty good left tackle.
How can you say
Compare
that when
that
he
to
was
him.
top 3 in sack percentage last year for left tackles?
And I think when in doubt, until you have better reason, go with the optimistic view. And our defensive line is going to be giving a lot of people some trouble.
But yeah, it's got to be. I'm with you. I don't like the Nathan's fries when they're like floppy. It's got to be like done really well. You know, it's very hard to teach 6'3" and 4.3 speed. That's very rare. The talent's there. He's just got to put it together mentally.
Right.
To get
You're a
onto
cheater.
you, I'm a cheater.